Good evening, America. Welcome to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi of the Next News Network, broadcasting live from just outside Chicago to millions worldwide across YouTube, Rumble, and X. You're tuned in to the only show brave enough to deliver the unfiltered truth about what's really happening in America on this historic day 80 of Donald Trump's triumphant return to the White House. So, folks, we need to bypass big text algorithms tonight. Right now, I need you to grab your phone and text this live streaming link to at least 5 patriots who need to hear the truth. Don't wait. Do it now and confirm so in the chat by pressing 1. The Silicon Valley overlords don't want this information getting out, but we are going to make sure that it does. Tonight's show is explosive. We're tracking developments that the corporate media is desperately trying to suppress, from Trump's economic counterstrike against China that has globalists in absolute panic mode to deep state meltdowns as their bureaucratic bloat gets exposed and their leases get torched. We'll cover how America is taking back the Panama Canal while unleashing Coast Guard hell on the historic $509 million drug bust. And if that weren't enough, we'll reveal how the DEI empire is finally collapsing and parents are rising up, the swamp is crumbling, and corporations are surrendering to common sense. But here is what makes the Raw Feed different from any other news show. You're part of the broadcast. Throughout tonight's program, we'll be interacting directly with viewers in the live chat, getting your reactions and your comments featured on screen for the world to see. Yes, your voice matters here. And for those sending in super chats on YouTube or Rumble Rants, you get priority treatment. We'll be reading them between segments and highlighting your thoughts. This is citizen journalism at its finest, where real Americans get to participate in the national conversation. And let me be clear, this kind of independent broadcasting doesn't happen without your support. The powers that be would love nothing more than to silence shows like this. That's why we need your help to keep the Raw Feed going strong. There are donation links in the description below where you can contribute to keep real news alive. We've also launched our YouTube channel memberships with different levels of perks. Support the channel and receive special acknowledgement in the live chat room. Unlock exclusive access to the Next News team, behind-the-scenes video, and the 24/7 Discord chat room where you can hang out with other Next News viewers. And, of course, you help us continue bringing the stories that matter. And how else can you do that? By visiting our merch shop, shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Exclusive Next News swag to show off your favorite news source. Let your neighbors know exactly where you stand with our Next News gear. So buckle up, patriots. We're about to dive into the stories the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. From Trump torching the globalist playbook as Main Street rises and cartels fall, to the federal firestorm exposing billions in bureaucratic waste that's infuriating the deep state. This is day 80 of President Trump's second term, and the establishment is in complete meltdown. Remember, your super chats will be featured between segments, so get those in now. And remember, follow us on Rumble and X, because when the tech overlords eventually come for us, you will need to know where to find your daily dose of truth. This is the Raw Feed. Let's get started by welcoming you to the show. Tom B420, Charlie Hooks, we got Chino Jr., we got Villain, we got Resto Guy, we got Michael Rock, Running Bear, Second Tech, Charlie Hooks, and Bearded Roofer in the house. We've got Outdoor Janitor, Joe Carroll Dodds. We've got, who else is here? We've got, keep going, we got Ophikus, Heather Reeves, Cisco, Deb Noble. And looks like Keel for Real just became a member. What's up? Welcome to the family. Lizette Taylor is here. William D. We've got Karen Findley. What's up? Joe Carroll. We've got Horse Sense. Michael Verster. Beverly Howard. Catherine Rockwell. Sure, you in the house. Synth Lord is here. Dr. Nobody is here. Juan Ruiz is about to start some trouble tonight. We got Josie in the house. My Discord says invalid invite. I'm not sure what to say there. We'll get our tech team on that. Brian, if you could just go ahead and access the chat and maybe give some information there. Throop Auto Body, Bella Stubblefield, Beverly Lees, Beth Saggio. Who else is here? We got Coast to Coast Live, Invisible Man, Chris Plunkett. We've got Terry Soul. We've got Sabrina. We've got Nick Kuiper, David and Deb and Joe and Bonnie. Shadow Watcher, what's up? We've got Kevin White, Sammy B.A., Michael Jones, Mr. Crippy in the house, Shadow Watcher. Mordecai is here. We've been waiting for Mordecai. We've got, who else? We've got Smoochy. We've got Shanna Allen, DRM, Don't Tread on Me. We've got America Needs Heroes. We've got, man, all the folks are here tonight. Nalita is here. Nova Kane, John Qualls, CJ Mai, Dr. DRM, Church Boy B, William Place, Bad Daddy in the house, Horse Sense. Wow, what is up? Everybody's here. Dawn Joy, everybody's in the house. Did you guys share the stream? Did you do it? I didn't see the ones in the chat room. Come on, guys. Pick up your phone, text the link to 5 friends. That's what we need to do. We got to get this stream everywhere, viral, retweet it, go to our X account, repost it, whatever you got to do. All right, let's go. Parmas did. Yes, you did. Okay, let's get to the news. We got some stuff cracking in Washington, D.C., and you need to know what is happening. Why are you shutting down on me? You have been given explicit instructions. Okay. All right, let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, the globalist playbook is being torched before our very eyes. President Trump has launched what can only be described as a full-spectrum revolution against the established order. For decades, Wall Street parasites feasted while America's backbone, the working class, starved. But now, Secretary of Treasury Scott Bessent just declared it's Main Street's turn. Meanwhile, the president is unleashing holy economic hell on the trade cheaters and cartels that have robbed American prosperity blind. We designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. That's what the president announced. And thanks to the Supreme Court, these monsters are being deported under the Alien Enemies Act. The elites thought they had crushed the American spirit. Well, they were wrong. And we've got all the news. So don't go anywhere, because as we step into 2025, one thing's clear: de-dollarization is not stopping. It's accelerating. China and other BRICS nations are scared of President Trump, and it's making them more determined to reduce their dependence on the U.S. dollar and establish themselves as global economic superpowers. What is their secret weapon? It's gold. In fact, China resumed buying gold. And you know what's even more telling? They underreport their buys. Doesn't it make you wonder why? They recognize its global value and ability to withstand economic shocks. Gold is a global asset with innate value. It's tangible, reliable, and immune to economic manipulation. China and other BRICS countries, they want to be prepared. They just don't want it known. But this isn't just about nations. It's about you. So make sure you visit nextnewsgold.com and say hello to our friends at Noble Gold Investments. You can also call the number on the screen, 877-646-5347, and find out how you can get 10 free silver coins when you invest with Noble Gold Investments. All right. So what happened at the White House today? Everybody wants to know. Well, we can start off with something a little soft, a little easy before we get into the hard stuff. President Trump welcomed racing champions to the White House. Check out this car. I love racing. He says, I wouldn't ride in that thing if you paid me. Check this out.
This is just a celebration of racing, and it's a celebration of Roger and his great success and his life, and these incredible champions who really do what very few people could do. Mentally, psychologically, it's a big factor here, like it is in all sports, really, but you need a great physical ability. People that do this, they don't realize what great athletes they are. It's just not the car. I had a friend, he's a very successful guy, but he was a driver, and started off, he wanted to be a race car driver. He wanted to be like you. He wanted to be like just like Joey Logano. and he had it for business, but he didn't have it for he said, I just couldn't compete with the good drivers. He couldn't do it no matter what he did. And he got lucky. He went into business and made a lot of money. He was very successful. But he said, I couldn't press the accelerator down all the way, and the best drivers could. So there was just a difference. It was really, I never forgot that story. But these are great champions, and it's a great sport. And what you've done in Indianapolis also with the track and everything has been incredible. I mean, it's really incredible. People tell me it's been amazing. I'll have to get there. I'm going to have to get there maybe this year with you. But
open invitation.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
So winners are at the White House, not just from the Indy 500. President Donald Trump welcomes the North Dakota State University 2025 Division I football champions to the White House. Take a look at this quick moment. So much winning, I don't know where to begin. And speaking of winning, we got this. President Trump signing a memorandum revoking any active security clearance held by C.C. Krebs and his associates, calling him a fraud and a disgrace.
Christopher Krebs, the former head of CISA. This is a man who weaponized his position against free speech in the election context, in the context of COVID-19. Presidential memorandum to the one you just signed. It is he might have, and further instructs your Department of Justice, other aspects of your government, to investigate some of the malign acts that he participated in while he was still head of CISA.
This is another one. I don't know that I met him. I'm sure I met him, but I didn't know him. And he came out right after the election, which was a rigged election, a badly rigged election. We did phenomenally in that election. Look what happened to our country because of it. Open borders, millions of people coming into our country. Russia and Ukraine, that would have never happened. October 7th would have never happened. Afghanistan, the way that they withdrew with 13 dead, but so many killed, actually. I mean, so many killed outside of the 13 soldiers, hundreds of people killed. And maybe, I don't know, never mentioned, but I mentioned it, 42 or 43 people so badly injured, the legs, the arms, blown off, the face. And this is all because of an incompetent group of people that preceded us, and that would have never happened. And this guy Krebs was saying, oh, the election was great, it was great. Well, it's been proven that it was not only not great. When you look at all these lawyers and law firms that are signing, giving us hundreds of millions of dollars. It was proven by so many different ways in so many different forms, from the legislatures not approving to the that worked, from all of the different scamming operations. It was a very corrupt election. They used COVID to cheat. And we're going to find out this guy too, because this guy's a wise guy. He said, we've been proved this is the most secure election in the history of our country. Now, this was a disaster. And frankly, we should go to paper ballots, same-day voting, voter ID, and one other thing, you should get a little certificate that says you're a citizen of our country. You get a citizen piece of paper that says you're a citizen before you can vote. But you want voter ID and you want paper ballots. And you really want same-day voting. If you don't have same-day voting, they decide to change the air conditioner. Oh, we're fixing the air conditioner. Let's move all these boxes. We'll bring them back in a few days. And then they don't bring back those boxes. We got to have safe elections. We have to have borders. Ideally, we have to have a free press, which we don't have. We don't have a free press. We have a very dishonest press. This is an honor. We're going to find out whether or not he was right. This was a disgraceful election, and this guy sat back saying, well, I'm a member, or like he's a Republican or something, and almost right from the beginning. And he's tried to make the case that this election was a safe election. I think he said, this is the safest election we've ever had. And yet, every day you read in the papers about more and more fraud that's discovered. He's the fraud. He's a disgrace. So we'll find out whether or not it was a safe election. And if it wasn't, he's got a big price to pay. And he's a bad guy. Here's another one. I have no idea who he is. Krebs. I have no idea who he is. I'm sure he was in the room at some point, just like you're all in the room, but I have no idea who he was. So thank you very much. Those last two are very important, I think, for the country.
I mean, think about that. He just laid it out. You guys all know what happened in 2020. And it was an absolute disgrace. We couldn't even talk about it on social media without fear of getting banned, deleted, and terminated. And President Trump now clearly laying out the plan and revoking the clearances of people who were involved in that fraud. Here's the latest on TikTok. A lot of people asking about this. Let's listen.
Mr. President, where does the TikTok deal stand, given what we've seen? We have the tariff.
Well, it's moving along, but obviously I would say right now China's not exactly thrilled about signing it. We have a deal with some very good people, some very rich companies that would do a great job with it, but we're going to have to wait to see what's going to happen with China. So
Is the president still on the table?
No, it's on the table very much. I think China's going to want to do it, actually.
TikTok is still on the table. Here is Scott Turner talking at HUD. He says, we're taking inventory, cutting the red tape that has hindered home building and new construction across America. Trump signing a memorandum directing the heads of federal departments and agencies to follow the law and cease enforcing regulations that are illegal and unconstitutional.
There are a large number of regulations on the books. These are regulations that are currently in effect that we believe blatantly violate the law, blatantly violate Supreme Court precedent, that otherwise are just blatantly illegal. So what this presidential memorandum does basically just directs the heads of your departments and agencies to follow the law and to cease enforcing regulations that are blatantly illegal or unconstitutional.
It's a big deal.
I love the Sharpie.
It's really very important that we get these memorialized in Congress. Very important for the long haul, right?
Yes.
I mean, when Joe Biden was signing all his executive orders, was there somebody there explaining everything he was signing? No, he just had stacks of stuff, and they were just putting it in front of him, and he would just sign it. The puppet in chief, Joe Biden. Let's keep going. Here we have more on the historic private investments in America. Here's President Trump.
Can you talk about how these investments will have a positive impact on families who felt like the previous economy left them behind, and why your executive orders on coal yesterday is so important given the amount of manufacturing that you're ushering back in?
But thank you. And which is correct. We have, I would say, more than $7 trillion now, right, of investment coming in. Apple is coming in for $500 billion alone. We have other companies coming in with massive numbers. We have car companies that are coming in. No, we've never seen anything like it. Maybe in the 1940s or 50s or something, but we've never seen anything like it. They had 3 plants canceled in Mexico. Not that we want to hurt Mexico, but we're for us. And that's what my job is. It's not to take care of other countries, but I want to help other countries as much as I can, but we have to take care of America first, and it's about America first. So we have many, many companies coming in that would have never come in if we didn't win the election and then put the tariffs on. And they're coming in because when they build in the United States, there are no tariffs. You don't have to pay any tariffs. So instead of paying 30, 40, 50% or 25%, but it could go a lot higher in some of the industries. So we have steel mills right now that are raging. The steel industry was gone. If I didn't put the tariffs on steel, because China was dumping massive amounts of steel in my first term, and I put tariffs on it, I saved the steel industry, but now it's going to thrive, maybe like never before. I mean, if you go back to U.S. Steel from 90 years ago, it was incredible. It was the #1 company in the world for a long time. That's why we don't want to see it go to Japan. And we love Japan, but U.S. Steel was a very special company. We don't want it to go to Japan or any other place. So we're working with them, and I don't know if they need any money now. I'll be honest with you. They hit gold. They hit gold because if you look at it, they have such orders for steel now. It's incredible. What's going on in our country is incredible with respect to plants. So we lost 90,000 plants and factories from the beginning of NAFTA, the worst trade deal ever made in the history of this world, but certainly in the history of trade. There's never been a worse trade deal. We were able to cancel that. We had to get approval from Congress. It was like a disastrous curse because you had to go to Congress to get it terminated. You couldn't just terminate it because it was a bad deal. And you had people in Congress that didn't want to do it because they had other reasons, maybe bad reasons. They're mostly not there anymore, those people. But it's amazing what's happened. I appreciate that question because it's incredible. I don't think we've ever seen anything like it. $7 trillion, and it's much more than that because, these are places that we know. $7 trillion is unheard of. I never looked at the Biden numbers, but you could go a whole year and it was peanuts. Everybody was leaving. They weren't coming in, they were leaving, and that means jobs are leaving. And so we're not playing games. We're going to make this country greater than ever before. Thank you.
Let's go, baby. Yeah. Did you ever hear Biden bragging about investments in America? No, didn't happen. Here's Secretary Howard Lutnick. We can't be a nation that invents everything, but has everything built somewhere else. Commerce Secretary on CNBC.
Think about it. We can't be a nation that invents everything but has everything built somewhere else. Eventually, you become subservient to the people who build things for you. If you make nothing, but all you do is think about it, then someone else will be the builder. And if you also allow these giant trade deficits and you let yourself have budget deficits, what ends up happening is the rest of the world also owns you. In 1980, we owned more of the rest of the world than they owned of us. And now the rest of the world owns 18 trillion net more of the United States than we own of them. So 60% of our GDP is now owned by outsiders. It's time for that to be right-sized and fixed. We're going to reshore great industrialization, bring back those jobs here, and we're going to strengthen America so that America plays the right role in the world and is not just the biggest consumer who overspends and eventually is owned by the rest of the world. That is just not going to happen. My grandchildren had a great day today because my grandchildren had a great day when Donald Trump was elected president. That's what's changing. It's America for the long term of America. Someone had to do it, and you're feeling that's what's happening now.
Let's play the long game, baby. Okay, let's keep going. We got more hits from the press. Let's take a look at what Peter Navarro had to say on boosting American manufacturing. He's the White House senior counselor.
Coordinated. I challenge your assumption that it takes years. Okay, it's not going to take years. We do this in Trump time. That means as quickly as possible. During the first term, I was the defense policy coordinator. I was the guy who was helping the president try to get things like ventilators and N95 masks to people as quickly as possible. Honeywell comes to me and says, we got to get 2 factories done. And it's going to take maybe 6 to 8 months or more. We got them done in 2 months. And then General Motors, ventilators, 14 days we were producing ventilators in the Midwest right now, around the Michigan area, Indiana, and all the places where autos and auto parts are made. There's very low capacity utilization of our auto factories. There's auto parts factories, which all you have to do is go on and take the cobwebs and dust away, and you can start those up again. This is going to move very, very fast. With respect to the inflation issue and whether consumers are going to pay for this, we have the experience of the first term. What happens is the exporters to us eat most of any tariff. Why do they do that? They have to do that, Lindsay. I mean, think about it. They're export dependent. They have nowhere to go other than us for selling goods, and so they eat it. That's what happened, particularly with China in the first term. You got to remember, Lindsay, I don't know if you're around for the first term. You probably had people on your show. They said all the same thing, inflation, inflation, inflation. It didn't happen. It just didn't happen. So you have to take that with a grain of salt and understand the underlying economics. The other thing that happens is currency adjustments. Our currency is going to get stronger. That's what happens when the trade deficit goes down. What does that mean? That means that we have more purchasing power to buy those imports. So that happens, and then supply chains adjust, and then investment comes here. The end game, Lindsay, the end game is to have production here. Any country that wants to produce here doesn't pay a tariff. That's the ultimate solution. I challenge you.
The ultimate solution, get those factories up and running so we can get them filled with American workers. We got this just in from Rapid Response 47, Screw America. A new report from CEA 47 shows that extending the Trump tax cuts will raise real wages by as much as $3,300 a year, increase take-home pay for median income households by as much as $5,000, boost short-run real GDP by 3.3 to 3.8%, and long-run GDP as well. And here we have Representative Horsford actually saying that passing the biggest tax cut in history will screw America. Yeah.
The Speaker is rushing to the floor to pass a budget reconciliation to screw America by passing the biggest tax cut in history on the backs of the American people? WTF? Who's in charge? The Speaker is rushing to the floor.
Who's in charge? President Trump's in charge, buddy. Okay. Tax cuts. Yeah, tax cuts are going to screw the American people. Can someone help me understand that logic? Tax cuts screw the American people. How about no taxes at all? Yeah, that's the logic of the left. But they just continue to scream and yell. Here's President Trump last night talking about Tren de Aragua, the Mexican drug cartels, at the NRCC gala.
During the same period last year, Joe Biden released more than 184,000 illegal aliens into our country. Think of it. Many of these people were from jails and mental institutions, as I said. Since my inauguration, we've released a grand total of nine. And they were all, in all cases, medical emergencies. We did that for medical emergency reasons. Last month, we officially designated Tren de Aragua, MS-13, and the Mexican drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And thanks to the Supreme Court yesterday, and today we had a big ruling too. We had a very big ruling today. But we will continue to deport these monsters under the Alien Enemies Act. Think of that, Alien Enemies Act. Can you believe it? During the same period last year.
And then we have this also from the NRCC gala last night.
I had somebody say the most successful first month in the history. Now they said the most successful 100 days in the history of our country. And I believe that's right. And we're going to continue that way, if not more so. I had somebody.
Oh, yeah. We're covering it all. Here's President Trump talking about who he is president for.
Who defends America. I'm proud to be the president for the workers, not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street. Who protects the middle class, not the political class. And who defends America, not trade cheaters all over the globe. They're trade cheaters. They cheated on us. They cheated with tariffs on us. They stole our money. They stole our jobs. I'm proud to be the president.
Let's keep going. Here is the Secretary of the Treasury talking about the last 4 decades. Wall Street has grown wealthier than ever before, and it can continue to grow and do well. But for the next 4 years, it's Main Street's turn.
For the last 4 decades, basically since I began my career in Wall Street has grown wealthier than ever before, and it can continue to grow and do well. But for the next 4 years, the Trump agenda is focused on Main Street. It's Main Street's turn. It's Main Street's turn to hire workers. It's Main Street's turn to drive investment. And it's Main Street's turn to restore the American dream.
And it's Main Street where it's all going to happen. People just playing with money on Wall Street is one thing, but when people are actually investing in businesses, in factories, and the individual Americans who are going to have those jobs, that's where real growth occurs. And this administration clearly knows it. Here we have, this is CNN. Okay. This is the new, Thomas Hearn writes, this is the new Republican Party, whether you like it or not.
The wealthy people. This is the new Republican Party, whether you like it or not. I mean, Trump won because he won blue-collar union voters, and he and the Republicans view that as the base of the party now. And it's different. It's different than when Reagan won, where it was mostly wealthy people. Now the wealthy people vote Democratic, and middle-class people are generally voting Republican. And so this is a policy position that's actually fairly popular with Americans. You're right. I'm a free trader.
I'm sorry, Steve. Which part do you think is popular? Because I don't think that's true.
Well, let me just say this. Even though Trump knows I'm a free trade guy, and he knows that I oftentimes oppose these policies, he still calls on me. He likes to get different opinions from different people. And in the end of the day, I'm going to predict this has been a rough period, no question. But Trump is a winner. He's a master negotiator. I think at the end of the day, you're going to have these countries calling him up on the phone one by one and making a deal with them. It's going to be good for
what's going to happen to the U.S.?
And that's exactly what's happening. That was Steve Forbes on CNN setting the record straight. Let's keep going. More news to get to on this beautiful day 80 of President Trump's reclamation of the White House. Let's take a look at here's more from Secretary Scott Bessent. For too long, financial policy has served large financial institutions.
Succeed. For too long, financial policy has served large financial institutions at the expense of smaller ones. No more. No more. This administration aims to give all banks the chance to succeed, whether it's J.P. Morgan or your local mortgage and loan. It aims to get capital to Americans who need it by getting bureaucracy out of the way. For the last 4 decades, basically since I began my career in Wall Street has grown wealthier than ever before, and it can continue to grow and do well. But for the next 4 years, the Trump agenda is focused on Main Street.
Main Street is where it's at. So this isn't just a presidency, folks. It's a restoration, a reckoning. And the fight has only just begun. From a tearful hostage survivor declaring President Trump, you saved my life, to labor union voters flipping red in record numbers, it's happening. Trump is realigning the political universe, forging a new Republican Party rooted in working class power. On Capitol Hill, Representative Andy Biggs is sounding the alarm on the next civil liberties time bomb. Mass surveillance. Law enforcement agencies could potentially surveil individuals not engaged in any illegal activity whatsoever. And he warned the FBI is under fire again. Jim Jordan not pulling punches. They're breaking their own rules. So I ask you this. Is this the greatest political realignment in modern American history? Or is it something even bigger? Let us know in the comments below. And make sure you grab your exclusive America First gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It's linked below. All right, let's keep going. And just need to send a quick note, firing off a note here. Okay, let's keep going. Do we have any? Let me just check the super chats right quick. $10. What up? Where are we at? Let's see. $10 from Keel for Real became a member, and Heather Reeve. Gary, Christopher is imploring you to relax and see a doctor heart for checkup. We can see it in your eye. What do you see in my eye? What? I'm not sure what you're talking about, but I don't know, but I appreciate you looking out for me. Keel for Real dropping $5 as well. Thank you for that. All right, let's jump into the next big topic of the day. Everyone's talking about it. Yep, we're talking about tariffs. Let's go. The globalists are trembling, folks. The markets are reeling, not from chaos, but from cold, calculated leadership. President Trump has done what no other president had the guts to do since NAFTA gutted American industry. He's declared all-out economic war on our trade enemies. He said the shrill voices you're hearing about tariffs are the same scoundrels who never thought twice. The United States lost 90,000 factories. That's what President Trump said. And he's right. When Bill Clinton signed NAFTA, we got pink slips instead of prosperity. Now Trump's bringing back factories, jobs, and American fire. Pharma terrified. Lumber coming home. And approximately 40% of the world's nations are crawling to Trump's trade desk. Not to fight, but to negotiate new deals. And as Trump battles to rebuild American manufacturing through tariffs, your body's fighting its own battle against time. A groundbreaking 2024 study shows that collagen can dramatically improve skin health and reduce signs of aging. But unlike those Chinese knockoffs flooding our market, you need quality American-made nutrition. That's why I trust BioTrust multi-collagen formula with 5 key types sourced from 4 different places. It's supporting American jobs while supporting your skin, helping you look and feel younger despite the economic stresses we face. Just like Trump's tariffs are bringing manufacturing home, BioTrust brings your youth back. Visit healthwithgary.com for 51% off today. You'll find the link in the description. Let's check in with what the Secretary Scott Bessent just said on Fox News a few short hours ago about the imbalances in our trade.
Last night, we started with a 90-day pause, and we will see if more countries turn up what will happen. But we have a meeting with Vietnam today, and we have one of the largest trade deficits with them. So I'm hoping it will move in a good direction. I was at the Japanese ambassador's house last night for the Cherry Blossom Festival, which was quite festive, and he and I had a good chat. They are going to send a deal team over, so we'll see. These are complicated negotiations. These are imbalances that have taken decades to create, but I think having seen the maximum level that Donald Trump is willing to go to, President Trump has created this negotiating leverage.
That's what he does. It's the art of the deal on the global stage. President Trump is creating the leverage. Here's Tom Emmer. POTUS knows the art of the deal. He strengthened the United States' negotiating power and has masterfully positioned American workers back on top. The days of the United States being ripped off by other nations are over. And here is the White House post from a New Truth Social post from the president. 125% tariff on China. At midnight last night, it was only 105. Well, President Trump upping the ante, a 90-day pause, and lowered tariff for other countries effective immediately. Now, some will say, like the front page of the Drudge Report saying, Trump blinked first. No, he created the leverage, brought the people to the table, and now there is real negotiating going on so that it's a fair playing field. So don't believe the fake news that's going to give you fake headlines, all right? This is the art of the deal. Don't believe the lies. Here's President Trump talking about everybody wants to make a deal in the Oval Office.
President,
would you consider talking or meeting with Xi Jinping?
Oh, sure. He's a friend of mine. I like him. President Xi, I like him. I respect him. But they haven't treated our country right. Sure, I'd meet with him. On the other countries, we have Japan is here, and South Korea is here, and others are here, and we're trying to see them. It's from what I hear, it's much more than 75. I said 75 plus. So many. It's everybody wants to make a deal, actually, and we want to do what's right for our country. We also want to do what's right for the world. The world is important. I mean, it's the world, right? And I think we're going to make a lot of people very happy. And I think investing in the United States of America will be the greatest investment that anybody's ever made.
Would you consider talking?
And it's all about to happen. Here's President Trump talking about deal making outside the White House.
Markets, because they change. You have to have flexibility. I could say, here's a wall, and I'm going to go through that wall. I'm going to go through it no matter what, and keep going, and you can't go through the wall. Sometimes you have to be able to go under the wall, around the wall, or over the wall. These guys know that better than anybody, right? You got to go around them sometimes. You're not going to go through them. So I consider, I think in financial markets, because they changed. Look how much it changed today. We went from, pretty moderate today, but over the last few days it looked pretty glum, to, I guess they say it was the biggest day in financial history. That's a pretty big change. And I think the word would be flexible. You have to be flexible. Like he's asking the question about some companies. Some companies, through no fault of their own, they happen to be in an industry that is more affected by these things than others. You have to be able to show a little flexibility. And I'm able to do that. You have to have flexibility.
You got to be flexible. So if you remember, there was a leak about the 90-day pause, and there was discussion of it. The press secretary came out and said it was fake news. But now we are learning that, in fact, it is true. And they're going to have this 90-day pause on certain countries so that the leverage can continue and the negotiations can begin. Here's a reporter asking about Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. They've been talking about tariffs for decades. Do you see the double standard?
It's working.
Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, they've been talking about tariffs for decades. How come when these Democrat elites want tariffs, everything's hunky-dory, but when President Trump wants tariffs, all hell breaks loose? Do you see this double standard?
I love this guy. Whoever the hell that is. That's really nice. I appreciate that question. No, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, everybody knew you had to do it, but they never had the guts to do it. It does take guts. It even takes guts for our country to go through it. That's why I say be cool. They were saying about, just be cool. It's going to work out. It's going to work out, and it's working out. I can tell you, working out maybe faster than I thought. But I said it's going to take a little conditioning. It's a transition to. It's really, I think, it's a transition to greatness. It's going to be greatness. Our country is going to be. There'll be nothing like it, and people investing in our country, they're going to do better than they've ever done before. We have more car manufacturers, Roger, coming into our country now. Speaking of cars. We've never seen anything like it. And they're coming in because of the election, but they're coming in because of the tariffs, because they don't want to pay 25 or 50 or whatever it may be. They don't want to pay that. They can't pay that. We had 3 cancellations in Mexico, building a plant. They're all coming into the United States. Canada, they're coming in. From China, they're coming in from everywhere. And that's just cars. We have chip makers coming. We're the biggest chip maker in the world from Taiwan, coming in, spending $3 billion to build plants, and mostly a big plant. This is a hell of a plant when you spend the kind of money that they're going to go $200 to $300 billion, not million. You say million would be the right number. It's not $200 to $300 billion. Think of that, $300 billion. If you look at Apple is going to spend $500 billion building a plant. They wouldn't be doing that if I didn't do this. They'd just keep building them in China. And that's unsustainable. It's not a pleasant thing to do, but I appreciate the question. And, interestingly, Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, Crazy Nancy, they've wanted to do this for years, but they never had a president that had the guts to do it, because it does take guts, believe me.
They never had a president willing to do it. Crazy Nancy. Oh, man, you got to love it. Here's more. Outside the White House, President Trump, a deal is going to be made with everyone, and they will be fair. See, this is the art of the deal, folks.
It will be fair deal. A deal can be made with every one of them. A deal's going to be made with China. A deal's going to be made with every one of them. And there'll be fair deals. I just want fair. They will be fair deals for everybody. But they weren't fair to the United States. They were sucking us dry, and you can't do that. We have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. We don't have it there for fun. They have it for a reason. And people took advantage of our country, and they ripped us off for decades. I've been thinking about this for decades. If you ever saw me on television, I was young like these guys. And those were good old days, I'll tell you, Roger. But I was like these guys, young, and I was talking about it. Nothing changed, and nothing was done about it. Then I did it, In my first term, I did it, and did it well. We took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China and others, and I started the process, but then we had to fix up from the COVID mess caused by China. We had to fix up from that, and we did a good job of
China. President Trump, say it. China.
Doing it. And
China.
When we handed back the reins after a rigged election, and when we handed back the reins, the stock market was higher than it was before COVID coming in. So, you know, we did a great job, but we didn't have time to do the big thing, which we're doing now. And it's, you know, it's like a patient is sick. You have to do surgery. Patient is very, very sick. And Joe Biden handed us over a country that was in very serious trouble, economically and in every other way. They let China run away with things. They let other countries run away with things. Deal can be made with.
America is sick, and President Trump is the only doctor who can fix it. Let's check in with Peter Navarro. The art of the reciprocal trade deal. Check this out. This is on Fox Business just a few hours ago.
And I'll tell you, Charles, this is one of the greatest days in American economic history we have had. I think we're going to call it the art of the reciprocal trade deal. And I'll tell you, all the nervous Nellies on Wall Street who try to undermine us consistently underestimate the power of the president to negotiate. What have we got here? We are at a place now where we have a broad-based 10% global tariff on. Well, we negotiate over the next 90 days with all of these countries who have come to us. And the mission, Charles, in these negotiations is to dramatically reduce our trade deficit, level the playing field, get rid of all the tariff differentials, get rid of all the non-tariff barriers. Dow 50,000. Charles, I've said this before. It's going to hit that. We're going to have a broad-based recovery in the S&P 500. Charles.
Broad-based recovery, Dow at 50,000. That is what Navarro is prophesizing. And with all this happening, it wouldn't surprise me if it came true. Here's Secretary Scott Bessent. We've given 90 days.
And with, as I said, we've given 90 days, and the only certainty we can provide is that the U.S. is going to negotiate in good faith, and we assume that our allies will too. And in terms of certainty, we will see what China does. But what I'm certain of is that what China is doing will affect their economy much more than it will ours, because they have an export-driven, flood the world with cheap export models, and the rest of the world now understands, because when we put up our tariff wall, those exports were already flowing to the rest of the G7 and to the global south.
Mr. Secretary, how much of this decision was driven by the bond market cratering overnight? What is happening with bonds? Is China selling their bonds?
I have nothing that says that, and we actually had quite a good 10-year auction today, and all this was, again, this was driven by the president's strategy. He and I had a long talk on Sunday, and this was his strategy all along, and that, you know, you might even say that he goaded China into a bad position. They responded. They have shown themselves to the world to be the bad actors, and we are willing to cooperate with our allies and with our trading partners who did not retaliate. It wasn't a hard message. Don't retaliate. Things will turn out well.
And look at the screen there. Dow Jones Industrial Average. Look at that huge green spike. What does that tell you? Trump is on the right track. Let's keep going. We've got more. Oh, here's Chris Matthews. What's he saying on MSNBC? Okay, he says we get so much of our lumber, 2x4s from Canada. What are we going to do? Have more lumber made in the U.S.? Well, why wouldn't we? Oh, come on, Chris Matthews.
What are we going to do? Have more? But there's another thing. I watched on the evening news last night, one of the other networks, and I watched the issue of lumber. Now, you see, we get so much of our lumber, our 2x4s, from Canada. What's where we get it from? Canada, we get our newsprint from up there for newspapers. The fact is what are we going to do, have more lumber made in the United States now? What is our plan now? Oh, we're not going to import wood, so we're going to make more wood? We're going to create...
Wow, is it that difficult, Chris? Trees, man, they grow. You plant them. Remember, this is MSNBC, okay? They don't know how to present any real facts. You're going to criticize Trump because he's going to bring lumber back to the United States? Good God.
8 more wood, is that it? I don't think we are in a position to simply replicate the imports coming into this country with our own products. It can't always be done. And I think if wood's example of that, wood. Are we going to make more wood in this country because of our trade deal? I don't think so. But there's...
Okay, listen, I understand it's going to take some time for a lot of these industries to come back. And yeah, it's going to take some time for trees to grow, but I think we do have trees here in the United States. Yeah, I think we do have lumber that is actually grown here in the United States. Chris Matthews, dude, unbelievable. Oh, wow, what do we have here? We have more from MSNBC. John Kennedy going on Scarborough. Oh, what's he going to say? Oh, it's going to be good.
Done. When I say the president's won, here's what I mean. Would 40% of the 200 countries in the world be coming to America now trying to reduce their tariffs if President Trump had not done what he did? No. Every fair-minded American knows that. I just don't know what's going to happen next. In terms of China, look, China wants a deal. For them right now, it's not about the economy. It's about saving face. China wants a deal. China's economy is in worse shape, I'll be glad to talk about it if you want, than it's been in 25 years. They can't afford to trade war. They are quietly seeking a deal with President Trump, as are 40% of the countries in the world. I mean, the president's won. We wouldn't have this opportunity but for what he did. All I'm saying is, let's take it. Let's take it. Let's pounce on it like a ninja. I would be on this deal like a hobo on a ham sandwich, man. I'd have them lined up at the White House. When I say the president's won,
that's what we're waiting for. The hobo on the ham sandwich. Yes, President Trump bringing people to the table to get these deals cut. Here we have more from Kennedy on Scarborough.
Goes next. Some of the smartest minds across the world are betting on a recession. What are you saying to your business leaders when they're calling you about where this goes next?
Well, this is what I'm telling them. With tariffs, an eye for an eye just leaves both people blind. When a government imposes a tariff, it's putting its thumb on the scale. It interferes with people's freedom to exchange goods and services. Some countries, China, the best example, have used trade barriers as a weapon to hurt the American economy. You said it. God created the world. Everything else is made in China. President Trump decided to try to change this, and he, as we know, has imposed dramatically higher American tariffs on these countries. But then, at least for me, an extraordinary thing happened. We have 195 countries in the world. Probably 40% have come forward, and instead of bowing up and fighting, they've said, we want to lower our tariffs. Will you lower yours? I frankly never saw that coming. I think it is a wonderful opportunity. Now, I don't want to feign understanding. I do not know what the president is going to do next. There's an internal debate and going on inside and outside the White House. I can just tell you what I would do, Joe. I would pounce on this opportunity like a ninja.
Yeah. Ninja, China. All right, let's keep going. We have some more here. Here's Larry Kudlow with a huge market prediction.
Countries. If Scott Bessent is talking about as many as 70 countries, if Karoline Leavitt, the press secretary, is talking about 70 countries, if President Trump is talking about all these countries, then you know that they are looking to negotiate and make deals. Deals that will open up markets for the U.S. Deals that will level the playing field with respect to our tariffs and their tariffs. And yeah, that's going to include some non-tariff barriers as well, although I don't think that's as important as some people do. There's no question they've changed their view. Now, was it a function of the stock market? I don't know. I think it's also a function of these countries coming in to us and saying, we want to make a deal. Yeah. And that's what Trump likes. He likes that a lot. He wants them to be the supplicants, and I think he's itching to make a deal. And by the way, here, Scott Bessent said April, May, June are going to be busy months, okay? If you could get a couple, 3 deals in the next 3, 4, 5 weeks, I don't know how many weeks, 6 weeks, that's going to trigger a tremendous rally in the stock market. Whoa. Because people are going to say, you know what, the Trump people were right. This is exactly how it's playing out. They were treated unfairly. Now with this threat that they're making pays off. Trump is a master negotiator. I don't see, frankly, at this point, to me, all this recession talk, it's the greatest recession that never happened. I don't see it. I just don't see it. If the evidence comes in, you know me. If the empirics come in, I'll say yes.
You'll call it.
But
I know.
I don't see any evidence of a recession.
Larry.
No evidence of a recession. You know, it's not just about tariffs. It's a complete reset of the American economy. One piece of coal, a steel beam, $1 at a time. Even Larry Kudlow sees it coming. If you get a couple deals in a few weeks, that's going to trigger a tremendous rally in the stock market. Remember Obama bragging about his tariffs on China? The same media that cheered him is now losing its mind because Trump is doing it better and bolder. Senator John Kennedy, he summed it up perfectly. Instead of bowing up and fighting, they have said we want to lower our tariffs. President Trump won. Let's pounce on these deals like a ninja. So here's my question for you. Is Trump's tariff strategy the key to restoring American manufacturing? Or should we have started this fight decades ago? Let us know in the comments below. And show your support for American manufacturing with your next news gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Check out the store. Okay. I don't know what's going on here. You guys think Heather thinks I'm going to have a stroke, guys. I don't know. Marshmallow dropping $10. Thank you for all your hard work and bringing everyone real news. And Keto for Real dropping $5. Thank you for that. Heather says, dropping $5 to let me know you're as close to a stroke as it gets. That I love you, want you, only the real news, please. The red news, please. Tom B420 says, Gary, you're fine, dude. And 3 for life. And then he dropped another $2. He says, Gary, just keep going forward. You are good. And then Tom B420 again, dropping 10. Gary, 10 clucks for a chicken dance? And I read some of the comments talking about my eye. Yeah, I did get some sunburn on the vacation. That's for sure. And I do have astigmatism. So, like one of my eye shapes is different than the other. So it could create the illusion of ocular pressure. I don't know. Maybe that's what you're seeing. So I don't know. I certainly hope I'm not headed for a stroke. Okay, let's keep going. I think we have some more news. Of course we do. Let's talk a little bit more about China, shall we? China. This is not a drill, Patriots. At the stroke of midnight last night, the first volley in America's economic revolution slammed into the Chinese Communist Party like a freight train hauling liberty. President Trump has triggered now a 125% retaliatory tariff against China, a declaration that the globalist chokehold on our working class is dead. This isn't just about trade, it's about revenge, retribution. For decades, China dumped cheap slave labor goods into our markets while funding their navy, militarizing their islands, and undermining American jobs. And what did President Trump say? He said, they've ripped us off left and right. Now it's our turn to do the ripping. This isn't theory. It's called payback. And the new Republican Party isn't about Wall Street cocktail parties anymore. It's about hard hats and lunch pails. That's right. And while President Trump battles China with unprecedented tariffs, millions of Americans are fighting their own battle against chronic pain. If you're tired of relying on dangerous medications, Dr. Josh's Golden Revive formula uses a powerful turmeric extract that's 200 times more effective than standard turmeric, targeting inflammation at its source. Just as Trump is standing up to China's economic warfare, Golden Revive stands up to the war happening inside your joints and muscles. This powerful formula turns off pain like a light switch without injections or expensive treatments. You want relief that works as decisively as Trump's tariffs? Watch the free video at goldenrevive.com/NNN. You'll find it linked in the description. So President Trump, he's just rocking and rolling in the Oval Office. I will never forget the day I was up there in the press room, press office, upper press. I walked out of that room and someone comes out of the Oval Office. A Secret Service agent says to me that behind that door is the Oval Office. Someone comes walking out and all I could hear is President Trump's voice booming, his presence larger than life. And I said to the Secret Service agent, I said, was that President Trump? Did I just hear him? He said, oh, yes, you did. He's quite loud. Now, think about it. When you see President Trump on the campaign trail, when you have a photo op with him, when you see him at a rally, you know, these are all very different experiences. But when you hear him, when you feel his presence behind that door, you know the man is working for America. And here he's talking about decades of bad trade policies with China. Check this out.
I blame the people sitting right at this desk, right behind this desk or another desk. You get your choice of 7. I happen to pick the Resolute. But I blame the people sitting behind in this chair or behind this desk for being stupid, incompetent, or not having courage. This should have been done years ago. This should have been done before Obama, in all fairness. Not only Biden, Obama. This should have been done many years ago. This started with the World Trade Organization, which was owned by China. It was owned and paid for by China. They didn't even have to do things. They considered them a nation that was undeveloped. They said they were a developing nation. Well, we're a developing nation, too, if you think about it. Look at our inner cities. Look at what's happened. I think we're starting from ground zero there, right? So we're a developing nation, too. No, I know it's a lot of people take heat for saying it, but I blame the people sitting at this desk more than I blame China. If China can get away with what they got away with taking hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars right out of our pocket because our people here were stupid, they were stupid people. Maybe corrupt, I don't know. I don't know how you can be that stupid. How do you get to be president and you're stupid? But they certainly weren't courageous. And they allowed this to happen. And with Japan and with many other countries that took advantage of us. I mean, we had deficits with almost every country. I used to read these things. First term, I'd read them. I'd actually read the agreements. I'd say, how could anybody agree to this stuff? So certainly they were rough, and they were tough, and they were smart. And you can blame them, but I really blame the people that allowed them to do it. Because, you know, if you could read first grade and you could read these agreements, you'd say, these are terrible deals. I actually used to say, who would allow deals like this to be made for our country?
Well, I'll answer the question, Mr. President. It's the compromised individuals who are writing those deals who are getting the kickbacks on the other side, who are selling out the American worker. Check their bank accounts. Check that paper trail. Where does it lead? They sold us out. That's what happened. President Trump fixing it. Representative Wesley Hunt posting this, trust the process. Trust in President Trump. Today, we move one step closer to delivering real tax relief for hardworking Americans, and President Trump boldly called out China for its decades of unfair trade practices. Listen to this.
For over 40 years.
I'm proud to be the president for the workers, not the outsourcers. The president who stands up for Main Street, not Wall Street, who protects the middle class, not the political class, and who defends America, not trade cheaters all over the globe.
Powerful stuff. Joining us now to talk about that, Texas Congressman Wesley Hunt. Mr. Hunt, welcome to the show, as always. Very strong from President Trump. And I understand that the procedural rule passed. You had a whopping victory of 216 to 215. That's life in the fast lane in the House of Representatives. But does that mean that basically now we've greased the skids for the tax cuts? I guess that's what I want to know.
Yes, we have, Larry. You're going to get your tax cuts. We're going to get our no tax on tips. We're going to get no tax on Social Security. Again, we're going to protect the middle class. And I had a meeting with President Trump yesterday with a group of us just kind of showing our concern with his upcoming budget bill. And at the end of the day, he put us all at ease. And the strong leader that he is able to promise to us that we're going to get this done. But we've got to stay together. We've got to stay on the same page, and we have got to let the cake bake. And if we can't get past this budget, then we can't get to lowering taxes for all Americans. We can't get to lowering corporate taxes. We can't get to lowering individual taxes. And Larry, you've been talking about this for years. This is a tax conversation. We have got to extend the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, and this is the first shot across the bow to get that done.
Well, I think it's so interesting, listening to you, but listening to Mr. Trump in his talk last night, the party of the working class, the party of the middle class. I mean, that's powerful stuff, Wesley Hunt. That's the new Trump Republican Party.
Yes, and that's the kind of transformational leadership that he has brought to the Republican Party. We weren't known as the party of the working class. That mantra was held for the Democrats, the flyover states, the people that we have forgotten in this country. This is the man that's bringing every regular American back to the table. Yesterday, I was also in the White House when he had the coal workers standing behind him because he was touting the need for energy dominance across all realms. We were talking about coal and natural gas and oil. Clean coal is how he was so adamant about putting it. But at the end of the day, he had these working Americans standing behind him during the signing of this executive order, and it was a beautiful thing. These people are now being heard. We hear you, we listen, and this is us acting in their best interest.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. Here is more Howard Lutnick talking about a 10% tariff around the world, and today we're calling out China. Buckle up.
Thailand. Chinese companies, they do business through China, they do business through Vietnam, they do business through Thailand. Come on, they do business through Malaysia. We've got to really address it the way it is and say we want fair trade. We want to be treated the way we deserve to be treated. And that's what's happening now. So we have 10% tariff around the world today. And we are calling out China because they are going in a different direction. We're going to work with each of these countries, and we're going to come up with a great deal for America, and hopefully a deal that they think is appropriate. And off we're going to go for the golden age of America. It's coming now. You feel it now. Finally, someone is behind the desk in the Oval Office who's going to protect America and the world. And it's coming now. And I tell you what, it feels great. Chinese companies, they do business.
Oh, doesn't it feel good? Are you tired of winning yet? Here is the Secretary of the Treasury. He is screenshotting President Trump's latest post on Truth Social. He said, and the Secretary of the Treasury, Bessent, says, as I've said in the past, no one creates leverage for himself like POTUS. So this was the post that came out earlier today. Now, this specific post, just on this account, 1.4 million views. Donald Trump says, based on the lack of respect that China has shown to the world markets, I'm hereby raising the tariff charged to China by the United States of America to 125%, effective immediately. Now, if you recall, last night it was 105, and then China fired back. They're saying we're going to do 85%. So Trump's like, yeah, well, we can do better. We're going to do 125. This back and forth is going to happen. Don't worry, we'll be fine. He continues, at some point, hopefully in the near future, China will realize that days of ripping off the USA and other countries is no longer sustainable or acceptable. Conversely, and based on the fact that more than 75 countries have called representatives of the U.S., including the Department of Commerce, Treasury, and the USTR, to negotiate a solution to the subjects being discussed relative to trade barriers, tariffs, currency manipulation, and non-monetary tariffs, and these countries have not, at my strong have not, at my strong suggestion, retaliated in any way, shape, or form against the U.S., I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%, also effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Let's keep going. We've got Howard Lutnick 2 hours ago. This is what was just posted.
But, well, I think China chose the path of going against Donald Trump. I mean, he said, don't retaliate. If you retaliate, then you're going to feel my wrath. And that's what happened. They retaliated. So then Donald Trump came back, and then they went back, and Donald Trump comes back again. You know, the fact is either China's going to come to the table and make the right deal with Donald Trump, or they're not. And they are. I mean, remember, China has a $295 billion trade deficit with us, but they also go through all these other countries. They go through Vietnam, they go through Thailand, they go through Malaysia. These were all sort of like tariff runarounds where they go to Vietnam and then go to America. So, you know, if you add that all up, it's just under $1 trillion that China sells to us, more than net we sell to them. And that is just not sustainable. The president knows it. The president is calling it out. And either China comes to the table with Donald Trump or they don't. But let's be clear. We are their biggest client by far, by far, by far. The American consumer buys everything from China. They can't afford to be without us. And that's where we are today.
Mess with the bull, you get the Trump. That's right. Let's keep going. Here's President Trump just a few hours ago outside the White House saying no other president would have done what I did, but someone had to do it.
Well, I thought that...
You started the morning saying be cool. And just a few hours later, there was a pause put in on the tariffs. Can you walk us through what you were thinking about why you decided to put a 90-day pause?
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know. They were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid, unlike these champions, because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents. They wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done. What was happening to us on trade, not only with, you know, if you look at it, not only with China, but China was by far the biggest abuser in history, and others also, but somebody had to do it. They had to stop because it was not sustainable. Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right. And now I've reversed it. It's for a short period of time, but we made $2 billion. We're making now $2 billion a day. And somebody had to do it. Roger actually said it. Charles Schwab was here a little while ago, one of the great financial people, and he said he's been waiting for 40 years for somebody to do what I did over the last month. And if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have a country. It wouldn't be sustainable. So I'm honored to have done it. And, you know, look, nothing's over yet, but we have a tremendous amount of spirit from other countries, including China. China wants to make a deal. They just don't know how quite to go about it. You know, it's one of those things they don't know how quite. They're proud people. And President Xi's a proud man. I know him very well. And they don't know quite how to go about it, but they'll figure it out. They're in the process of figuring it out, but they want to make a deal. And we have many other countries, as you know, many more than 75. And they all want to come, and they want to come here, or they'll go to Commerce, or they'll go to Treasury. We have our great senators here and congressmen. They'll call John, they'll do somebody, they'll go through somebody, but they're all calling, how do we do this? They all want to make a deal. Somebody had to do what we did, and I did a 90-day pause for the people that didn't retaliate, because I told them if you retaliate, we're going to double it. And that's what I did with China, because they did retaliate. So we'll see how it all works out. I think it's going to work out amazing. I think that our country is going to be at the end of a year or shorter, but I think we're going to have something that nobody would have dreamt possible.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. You see what he did there?
China. We need independence.
Yep. And what's your message to... have you seen Donald Trump? Do you think he should step in?
Donald Trump don't trust China. China is asshole. China.
I love that. I love that clip. Here is the press secretary outside the White House. Scott Bessent and the press secretary briefed the media on the tariff announcement. It's a long clip. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but let's get an idea.
He decided to retaliate his latest statement regarding his America First trade plan. As you all know, the president just put out a statement announcing an additional tariff on China. The tariff on China will now go up to 125% because China imprudently decided to retaliate against the United States. And as I said at the podium yesterday, when you punch at the United States of America, President Trump is going to punch back harder. In that same vein, we have had more than 75 countries from around the world reach out to President Trump and his team here at the White House to negotiate better trade deals for the American worker. We have been overwhelmed with the amount of requests from countries around the world. I'll let the Secretary speak to that. We will continue with the tailor-made negotiations that I spoke about yesterday. In the meantime, there will be a 90-day pause on the reciprocal tariffs as these negotiations are ongoing, and the tariff level will be brought down to a universal 10% tariff. The Secretary here has been a huge part of the President's trade team, of course, and will continue to lead these negotiations moving forward to look out for the American worker, which is always President Trump's goal. So I'll kick it over to our great Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent.
Good, thank you. And we saw the successful negotiating strategy that President Trump implemented a week ago today. It has brought more than 75 countries forward to negotiate. It took great courage for him to stay the course until this moment. And what we have ended up with here, as I told everyone a week ago, in this very spot, do not retaliate and you will be rewarded. So every country in the world who wants to come and negotiate, we are willing to hear you. We're going to go down to a 10% baseline tariff for them, and China will be raised to 125 due to their insistence on escalation.
Secretary, thank you for doing this. Let me ask you 3 quick things, if I could. For the sake of clarity, because the markets are open and they're wondering. First of all, Mexico and China, are they part of this 10% universal? Mexico and Canada, are they part of the 10%?
Yes.
Okay. Second, given then that you have the rest of the world essentially calling it, it's not China, is this now just all about China?
Well, it's about bad actors, and what we will see is some of the very early countries are China's neighbors. We're going to see I'm seeing Vietnam today. Japan's at the front of the queue. South Korea, India. So we will see. And as I've repeatedly said, and President Trump has been saying it for years, China is the most imbalanced economy in the history of the modern world, and they are the biggest source of the U.S. trade problems. And indeed, they are problems for the rest of the world, because what we've seen is that as the U.S. announced the tariff wall last week, many of those goods have already started flooding into Europe.
So as you see it now, this trade war is China versus the rest of the world?
Well, I'm not calling it a trade war, but I am saying that China has escalated, and President Trump responded very courageously to that, and we are going to work on a solution with our trading partners.
The solution's coming. The trade war is on, even though he doesn't want to call it that. Here is more from the Treasury Secretary. Says all options are on the table.
Want to come. Maria, I think it's unfortunate that the Chinese actually don't want to come and negotiate, because they are the worst offenders in the international trading system. They have the most imbalanced economy in the history of the modern world. And I can tell you that this escalation is a loser for them. That they have some very smart, the economists, the academicians, technocrats within their bureaucracy, and they would be telling the leadership that we do not have the edge here. They are the surplus country, that their exports to the U.S. are 5 times our exports to China. So they can raise their tariffs, but so what?
So what, right? Someone get Ana Navarro a sandwich? What's going on at CNN?
To navigate, you've always been a free trader and anti-tariff. So, I hear you kind of like trying to navigate not condemning this, but like so many other Republicans, including people like Marco Rubio and others in the Senate and in Congress, who are now bending themselves into pretzel shapes. I mean, it's like this sudden change that's a little hard for me to understand. Yeah. I also, look, this week I think has been a disaster, and part of it is because they based, well, the messaging has been bad. Right. It's been all over the place, and there's been a lot of conflict within the administration, but also the policy is bad. And what the math they based it on, according to mathematicians who have looked at the formula that they printed out on a big poster and put out, is wrong. They've imposed tariffs on penguins. They haven't imposed tariffs on Russia. I mean, it has made absolutely no sense. And when you hear people who love Donald Trump, supported Donald Trump, gave him money, people like Ken Langone, Home Depot, people like Bill Ackman, people who have gone, gotten into fights for months.
Can we correct the Russian thing? Because
yeah, she's definitely hangry. Get that woman a sandwich. Here we have, this is the hardest I've heard in the 10 years of MAGA. Kevin O'Leary, listen to this.
Abided by any 104% tariffs in China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it, and sell it back here. Never has an administration
400% tariffs. What would that look like?
I want Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. This is not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak for millions of Americans who have IP that have been stolen by the Chinese. I have nothing against the Chinese people. They brought great literacy, art, and tech to the world. The government cheats and steals, and finally, an administration, you may not like Trump, you may not like his style or his rhetoric, finally, an administration that puts up and says enough. 400% tariffs tomorrow morning. He'll tell you why. Xi can only stay the supreme leader if people are employed. If we wipe out any business there, because we are still 39% of all consumables on Earth and 25% of the world's GDP, America is the #1 economy on Earth with all the cards. We will not have that forever. It's time to squeeze Chinese heads into the wall now.
Well, hold on a second, Kevin. Well, I hear you, but hold on.
No. He's got a point. I mean, we have all the leverage. We have all the buying power. They want to bring up 84%. Trump's going to hit them back at 125%. O'Leary says go to 400. I mean, it would cripple China completely. So, what do we got here? China's desperate response. 84% tariff on U.S. goods. A flailing retaliation by a regime that's gasping for air. But they're drowning in quicksand. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, he warned all the options are on the table, including removing Chinese stocks from U.S. exchanges. That's economic decapitation. Even left-wing pundits are losing it. Chris Matthews practically cried over lumber tariffs, asking, are we going to make more wood in America? Yes, Chris. Yes, we are. We're going to make everything here. From 2x4s to microchips to life-saving medications. And the global elite are screaming. Wall Street is shaking, and corporate America is being dragged back to the negotiating table, not by request, but by force. So I ask you this. Is President Trump's economic warfare against China finally the medicine America needed after decades of selling out to Beijing? Sound off below. And show your patriotism with our America First gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Wow. Amazing stuff happening in the world, my friends. Alice Searcy. They sold us out for kickbacks. Gary, you are right. $20. Thank you, Alice, for bringing up that point. They did. They sold us out, and President Trump is bringing it all back to the table. God, it's been so long overdue. So long overdue. God bless America, man. Okay, we got some more news. Let's keep going. Have you shared the stream yet? Make sure you do. We need to get this out to the American people. Now, let's jump into our next topic here. Lots of stuff happening on the Doge front. This is not a drill, Patriots. While you skip meals to keep the lights on, Washington's elites have been feasting off your tax dollars, lounging in empty buildings, dropping millions on luxury chairs, embassy artwork, and, ready for this, $230,000 picnic tables. That's right. But the gravy train just slammed into a wall of executive fury, and that wall is named Donald J. Trump. The federal government, did you know this, owns over 250,000 buildings, and many of them are completely vacant, costing you $10 billion every year to maintain. These are taxpayer-funded ghost towns where unelected bureaucrats sip lattes while American families drown in inflation. Trump has declared total war on this waste, axing 700 leases in months, the fastest reduction in federal bloat in U.S. history. And we have all the receipts in this report. Now, as President Trump attacks bureaucratic bloat, legendary action star Chuck Norris is teaching Americans to fight their own battle against physical decline. At 84, Chuck still has the strength and energy of someone decades younger. How? Well, he discovered 3 critical factors sabotaging our bodies as we age, the same way Trump identified waste sabotaging our government. Trump's simple method has him feeling like he's in his 50s. His wife feels 10 years younger, too. While Trump eliminates government access, you can eliminate what's holding your body back. See Chuck's age-defying secret at chuckdefense.com/next before this video gets removed. Now let's jump into it. Marjorie Taylor Greene, and she is on the offense. Yeah, did you hear about that Doge committee? Yeah, you probably didn't, because the mainstream media is going to completely ignore that it ever happened. Well, wait till you see what we have lined up for you. Yes, while you struggle to buy groceries, the federal government is blowing billions on empty buildings, luxury chairs, $230,000 picnic tables. But Trump is slashing the waste and cutting the leases, and we have the receipts. Here's Marjorie Taylor Greene. The feds own over 250,000 buildings, and they're empty. While you suffer under inflation, they lounge in ghost towns with luxury furniture.
The federal. Welcome, everyone, to today's Doge subcommittee hearing on federal real estate. This is an area where the Trump administration is taking long overdue action. The federal government owns a massive real estate portfolio of more than 250,000 buildings. No one knows how much of this real estate is actually being put to use or what it's worth on the open market. Here's what we do know. Taxpayers spend about $10 billion annually just to operate and maintain all of it. American taxpayers have been drowning in debt, inflation, unaffordable grocery prices, high interest rates, and have been suffering to get by. All while the federal government is pouring billions of dollars into wasteful, empty office buildings and luxurious high-end furniture, which they, the American taxpayers, can't even afford themselves.
Oh, yeah, but it doesn't stop there. Donald Trump canceled a $250 million lease for a luxury office on Penn Avenue, but Biden reinstated it. No broadcast equipment, $130 million more just to make it usable. Biden wanted taxpayers to foot the bill for elite comfort while you get crushed. Listen,
office building. More specifically, they've canceled nearly 700 federal leases of 7.9 million square feet of space, saving taxpayers around $400 million. One of the canceled leases was a nearly $250 million 15-year lease at a luxury office building on Pennsylvania Avenue to house Voice of America and the United States Agency for Global Media. The Biden administration signed the lease late last year, sticking taxpayers with the tab. It's one of the fanciest office buildings in the city. You can see of the building on this poster board. Incredible. Furthermore, this beautiful building had zero broadcasting capabilities, a capability one would think would be essential for a broadcasting media agency. The cost to taxpayers to build out the building with broadcasting capabilities, $130 million. The Biden team wanted to move USAGM and Voice of America from this building that we are sitting in today into that luxury space. More specifically, they've...
Oh, yeah, but there's more. America faces a $36 trillion debt crisis. Trump's team is bringing common sense back, terminating unused leases, cutting waste, and shrinking the footprint. Why? Because we need a country left for your kids and your grandkids.
Space. We're here because this country faces an existential threat. $36 trillion in debt. $1.8 trillion annual deficit, and we're trying to find common sense solutions to address unused space and how we can be more efficient with taxpayer dollars in that regard. And this is really a whole of government approach. We have to right-size our fiscal ship in order to have a country long-term. So I guess this is just one small part of that endeavor, and it really is just common sense.
Common sense, finally. When's the last time you heard common sense in government? Never, right? While Trump cuts waste, some Democrats want to block federal relocations to protect the D.C. elite. Check this out.
Agencies and these relocations, as we saw during the first Trump administration, would harm the operations of these agencies and waste taxpayer dollars. They would also harm the economy of the National Capital Region and upend the lives of federal workers, many with kids who love their homes and schools. Last month, I introduced a bill to prohibit such relocations. However, there are specific federal buildings in D.C. that GSA should dispose of in an orderly manner and move the employees from those buildings into other buildings in D.C. These disposals would save the federal government money and could generate tax revenue for D.C., increase housing supply, and create new mixed-use neighborhoods in the District of Columbia. There is precedent for orderly disposals of federal property in D.C. Congress has passed many of my bipartisan bills to transfer unused or underutilized federal buildings and land in D.C.
Let's keep going. $1.4 million for embassy art, $120,000 for Ethan Allen chairs. This is your money.
$1,000. The State Department spent $1.4 million on artwork for various embassies, including $200,000 to procure a pair of custom paintings from a contemporary abstract artist. Do they need high-end leather recliners worth thousands of dollars each? Our embassy in Islamabad is a place where you can put your feet up, thanks to 40 Ethan Allen chairs, which cost taxpayers $120,000. The State Department spent $1.4...
Oh, my goodness. Here's one. Congressman cut $70,000 a year by moving out of overpriced offices.
Predecessor had two. And I'm going to tell you a story about my time in office. I got elected 7 years ago, and my predecessor had two offices. They were spread out in my district. I have a fairly small district, and they were in some of the highest costing office space in my district. And we only had 3 employees, and we had 2 two offices, and they were, one was in Greenville, one was in Spartanburg, and I just said, well, that doesn't really make sense. So I went to a wonderful, municipality that is up and coming, and I got this fantastic office space. It's actually more square feet than I had between the two, but it is drastically nicer, and it costs less than half as much. So just in my one little congressional office, we're probably saving $60,000 to $70,000 a year. So that is just pretty straightforward, and we're going to basically do the same thing across the country. We're going to figure out what we need and what we don't need, and then we're going to dispose of what we don't need by either selling it or by not renewing the lease. So, Mr. Maroney, the Department of Government Efficiency has already terminated close to 700 federal leases.
Wow.
What financial impact has that created for taxpayers?
That once the leases are drawn out, there's about 120 days, but there'll be this lease savings. You won't be paying that lease rent anymore.
And I'm going to tell you a story about...
What is the total of the lease rent? How about that? In Cleveland, they're stripping federal buildings for parts, fewer services, and fewer jobs. Listen to this.
Services. What they are really doing is looting the federal government and stripping it for parts. This sale could result in reduced public access to services, lower job security for thousands of workers, and a ripple effect throughout Cleveland's downtown economy. Local businesses, public transit, and city revenues all depend on the federal footprint of this building. What they are really...
Yeah. Okay, obviously a Democrat there, complaining that we're cutting all the waste in government. Oh, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt all the people who work there. Yeah, but if they're empty buildings, what does it matter? Yeah. Here's another one. $6 billion a year blown on leased office space.
So there's about $6 billion on leased office space. So depending on how many you let expire, you get substantial savings.
As I said up here, people chastise the thought of making a profit. To me, that's not an evil thing. That allows for more people to be employed. It seems that we have forgotten exactly who we work for, and it's the people back home who are struggling. Now, when I was mayor of Knox County, one of the first things I did was I said, get me a list of all the property we own in Knox County. And it was amazing to me. I mean, we had property in neighborhoods. We had some of it was obviously undevelopable. So one was on the corner of a small airport. But it was all over. We had something listed as a park, and it was nothing further from a park. And we ended up selling a lot of this property, and we paid cash for schools, crazy things like that. We didn't stay in debt. And to me, that just seems like the model that the federal government should adopt. We should have a listing of the property, and the people ought to be able to review that and make better assumptions, because I think they're a lot more smarter than we give them credit for.
Let's keep going. Here is more from Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why won't they share space?
Resistance to sharing.
Just why won't these agencies co-locate and downsize?
So there's a number of reasons, but certainly cultural reticence to sharing space is something we've identified in the past. Also, inertia, for lack of a better word. It's a space you've already had, and there isn't as much incentive to move. It costs money to move out of space at times, and agencies haven't always put that up front. There's a number of other reasons possibly too, but certainly those are both valid reasons that they've brought up before.
Just $230,000 for a picnic table at the CDC.
Over the course of egregious examples of wasted taxpayer money, and your findings over the course of your work, what was the most egregious expenditure that you saw? And at the same time, too, would love recommendations from you as to how best we can correct that.
Well, it's a very target-rich environment. I think the totality is quite egregious, where you're looking at $1 billion spent on furniture. We talked about the picnic table as one, where the CDC told the American people they can't sit together, but yet they're spending $230,000 on a picnic table that violates their own standards. That rubs the American taxpayer the wrong way in every way imaginable. So I think what you could do is really reorganize federal agencies. Is that, it's the perfect political moment to cut spending is always a mirage over the next election horizon. But this body has the opportunity to do an agency reorganization bill that will solve all of the problems we're talking about, because it's a scope of government question. And to the question before is that we spend about $80 million a year on leases, and that's not as much as the owned property. That's a larger number. But there are incredible opportunities for savings that could be produced by having a smart, strategic agency reorganization.
Agency reorganization. Here's more from Marjorie Taylor Greene on those 700 leases.
700. Yet President Trump and Doge ended almost 700 leases in just a few months. That's unbelievable. Has any other administration acted so quickly to reduce the federal footprint that you know of?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, that much needed though.
Not that I'm aware of. Yes, they're wasting your money, and Trump is the only one cutting the bloat. We expose billions in waste, and we're just getting started. Make sure you follow Next News Network to stay ahead of the swamp and fight back with facts, because the silent majority won't stay silent. Oh, and here's more. Elon Musk just posted this terrible. Senator Schumer refusing to criticize attacks on Tesla stores, employees and customers, but willingly criticize Musk for cutting government waste, fraud, and abuse. Unbelievable.
Senator, what's your opinion of the violence against Tesla, their products? What are your thoughts on that? Do you denounce the violence against Tesla products and dealerships and cars in the streets?
I can't talk about Tesla, but Elon Musk is a disaster for America, and America knows it. Look at Wisconsin.
Wow.
Thank you, Senator.
Yeah, he doesn't answer, waits for the elevator to open, basically a hit and run, and just takes a shot at Elon Musk. Typical. This is something we brought up yesterday. A witness confirms that families of politicians are financially benefiting from leasing buildings to the federal government.
This property. Mr. Hart, do any members of Congress, their spouses, or their immediate family have any property ownership rights to this property or any federal land?
Congressman, I don't know the answer to that question off the top of my head.
Okay, do spouses of members of Congress own real property and lease it to the federal government? And how would we find that out? Because I think I know what you're going to say.
I believe the answer to that question is yes.
You do?
I do believe that.
Is there any way we could verify that information?
Well, you go to USA Spending and search, you open the books, our website, and you can look up members' names, you can look up any person's name, and find that information.
All right. I suspect that's being done as I speak. How much would the federal government save by allowing unneeded leases to expire?
The federal government spends about $6 billion on leased office space, so depending on how many you let expire, you get substantial savings.
$6 billion. Here's Jordan Peterson. The NGO gravy train has ceased to operate. Talking with Pierce Morgan. Check this out.
And it wouldn't surprise me in the least if half the money that the American government spent, the Canadian government as well, the British government, governments as such, is like utter waste. And worse than that, like positively counterproductive. And it's certainly the case that Musk is the kind of managerial businessman who's very detail-oriented. He's an engineer. Engineers know how things work from the atoms upward. I have many engineers as friends, and I've watched them run companies. And the good ones know everything about how their enterprises operate, and they pay attention to every detail. And Musk is definitely one of those people. And we know that because he's done 5 impossible things, at least. And then he bought Twitter, and he cut its staff by 75% and made it work better, despite the fact that his advertising base collapsed. And he did that despite the fact as well that everyone thought it was a mad move, economically and practically. And so I think it's great that Musk and his team of brilliant young engineers are going through the budget line by line, trying to figure out where all the idiot money goes. And I think the left is appalled by that because they've set up an entire network of so-called non-governmental agencies, organizations, NGOs, that are essentially funded by taxpayer money that run their, quasi-criminal radical enterprises all around the world. And now the gravy train has ceased to operate. And so it's not surprising they're unhappy about that. But thank God for that, as far as I'm concerned, especially given the catastrophic levels of debt that the American government, Western governments everywhere are carrying. It wouldn't.
Straight facts right there from Jordan Peterson. What do we have this?
Do you think it's okay for the taxpayer to want to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse in the government?
Is that okay?
Yeah, I think Kamala did the same thing, right?
No, watch the video.
And like any number of people who give a speech, they wave to the crowd.
Yeah, did you watch the video?
I did. I saw it.
Yeah, he Heiled Hitler.
You think he's like a secret Nazi?
He's not a secret Nazi. This is not a secret. He's right there on stage behind the presidential podium, heiling Hitler.
I saw the compilations of dozens of Democrats doing the same thing. No, I'm not a Nazi. I believe in small government.
You're a Nazi.
You think the Nazis wanted to cut government down?
Go home, Nazi.
Can you explain to me, how did Nazis want to, why would Nazis want to cut down government like Elon Musk is doing right now? Do you think Nazis are libertarians that want to reduce the size of government?
Is that what we have happening?
Yeah, big time. I thought you were done talking to me. All right. Yeah, let's talk. That's not a Nazi salute, though.
What is it?
It's make-believe.
Yeah, make-believe. Here we have Doge uncovering $5 trillion in untraceable payments.
No idea. $5 trillion in payments that are untraceable. The budget line is blank, and they're worried about your Bitcoin. 5 trillion, untraceable. No idea where it went and how it was spent. A $5 trillion blank check. Social Security sent out $72 billion in bad checks. Guess who resigned last night? The head of Social Security. Right when Doge asked Michelle King to have a seat because she was about to get canned, she says, "You can't fire me because I quit." And the press is acting like this isn't suspicious.
You may assert there's no waste in the Pentagon. You may assert there's no waste in
Stephen,
Treasury.
I'm not
you may
asserting,
assert there's no waste in HHS.
That, Stephen, I don't think anyone...
Then why are you not celebrating these cuts? If you agree there is waste, if you agree there is abuse, if you agree there is corruption, why are you not celebrating the cuts, the reforms that are being instituted? Every day that no action is taken, the entire
Stephen,
salaries of American workers that are taxed disappear forever.
Stephen, let's calm down.
This is
We're not having a debate.
There's no reason
about whether there are places...
You are clearly trying to debate me, and I will be as I want to be about the fact that we are saving Americans billions of dollars.
Yeah. So let's talk about that lease, right? What did Joe Biden do? He reinstated it, a $250 million lease for a luxury Penn Avenue office with no broadcast capabilities, requiring $130 million more just to make it usable. Comfort for the elite and pain for the people. Meanwhile, Representative Tim Burchett dropping bombs from the Hill, politicians' families profiting by leasing real estate to the feds. And he said people need to start going to prison. Even as America chokes on $36 trillion in debt, the D.C. swamp is defending these deals like they do, like their lives depend on it. Because they do. So here is what I'm asking you tonight. Should Trump continue this aggressive cancellation of federal leases? Or should he go even further and start investigating which politicians are personally profiting from the government bloat? Who should be the first to go to prison? Drop a comment. And drain the swamp yourself with our Next News gear. You'll find it at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, linked below. All right. No super chats to speak of. We'll head over to the main chat and see what you're all chattering about. Go even further. Pelosi, investigate the crooks. The Balls family, well known in the county, Jeremy Olson. Hell to the yes, cancel all of them. The Pentagon was missing $35 trillion in December 2019. Accounting errors. Yeah. Who else should go to prison? Clinton? I'd like to hold processed cheese slices in my armpits while I watch the stream. That is really interesting, Jason. Really interesting. Do you eat them? Do you eat them afterwards? Asking for a friend. That's what it is. Drain the swamp. This is like real draining of the swamp in real time. Let's see who else here. More, says Gomez. The corruption is so far and deep. I want to know, do you eat the cheese, though? That's really what I want to know. 100 contractors contacted to build Gitmo. Another 15 levels deep. What? Go further, says Ron. Doesn't matter who goes first as long as they start now and go quickly. Please stop the lies from the Dems. Trump 2028. Schiff. Yeah, we'd love to see Schiff go to prison. I want all of them in prison, says Do Better. But do you eat the cheese from your armpits after you let them sit there? I'm waiting for the answer. No answer, just ha ha ha. I'm not laughing, man. I'm seriously curious. Bad time to check the chat, said Craig. No, please, no. Make welfare do community service. Pentagon has never balanced their budget. That's nasty, says R. Boyd. Hunter. Hunter should go to prison. Well, he's got a preemptive pardon, so that's not happening. Let's see here. Both sides of the aisle, they all allowed it. Pitmento cheese? Jason said, I got Gary to say it. Famunda cheese? Ooh. You guys are off the rails tonight. Off the rails. All right. Speaking of off the rails, let's get to our next topic of the evening. DEI and the Department of Education. The experiment's over, folks. What began as a slick marketing slogan pumped into the bloodstream of every institution in America has morphed into an authoritarian cancer. I'm talking about DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion. Now, in a stunning reversal, the DEI machine is being dismantled piece by piece. According to a shocking report from Defending Education, 32 school districts in Rhode Island have formal policies instructing staff to hide a child's gender identity from their parents. That's right. Teachers are actively lying to moms and dads, citing vague mental health concerns while systematically severing parental rights. Meanwhile, New York public schools are openly defying federal executive orders to end discriminatory DEI policies, risking billions in funding just to cling to their ideological fantasies. And as the DEI establishment crumbles under Trump's leadership, many Americans are worried about another crisis, skyrocketing heating costs. Just as schools have been hiding information from parents, the energy industry has hidden how much money you're wasting on home heating. The revolutionary Stay Warm Now system, as you can see it right here, cuts heating bills by up to 50% using breakthrough technology developed by MIT engineers. While Trump fights to protect parents' rights, Stay Warm Now fights to protect your wallet from energy companies' greed. Parents are standing up to DEI. Now, homeowners can stand up to outrageous heating costs. Visit staywarmnow.com for a special 40% discount. It's linked below. Okay, so we've got some information here. This is from the National News Desk, posted by Defending Education. A shocking PDE report found 32 Rhode Island school districts with parental exclusion policies. Listen.
Approve of it. Topics she discussed with us was the consequences for states who violate Title IX and parental rights, federal laws, which, by the way, require parents to be allowed to review all of their child's educational records, including any documents related to gender identity. I know your organization has uncovered this being abused across the country, most recently in Rhode Island. What did you find there?
And I live here, actually, so this is a close-to-home issue. We found that 83% of students in the state of Rhode Island attend a school that has a written policy that is designed to deliberately deceive parents about the gender identity of their child at school. Now, they will say that it's only if they feel that the child is unsafe or in danger because their parents, don't support this. The problem is most of the educators define that as, well, if the child's not telling the parent, that automatically means that they're unsafe, which of course I say, well, then why do you tell us when they fail a test? And why do you tell us when they get in trouble? Right. Because they sprayed graffiti on the building. So it's totally absurd. It also, I believe, is illegal because when you create a gender support plan, a lot of schools don't seem to think of it as an official record, but it is. It is a school record that everyone on staff usually knows about. Sometimes even the bus driver is looped in. That is kept from parents, and I think that they're in violation.
And also, if they are so concerned about a child's emotional or physical, if there's some kind of abuse that they fear could happen, then that should be reported irregardless of whether or not there is a report of gender identity.
And they are mandatory reporters under the law. So already, if they believe that a child is in danger, they have a legal obligation to report that. So this weird, fuzzy, we're going to hide information from parents about this one subject, gender, because we worry that the fact that the parent doesn't approve of it means that that's unsafe. Makes no sense because we also don't approve of our kids failing a test. And we don't approve, of our kids getting in a fight at school, and they don't hide that information from us.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't hide that. Here's Jesse Waters. He says the chainsaw is still gassed up and running. $25 million in DEI grants just got doged. Here are the highlights. $250 million for marketing 100% organic shea butter in Africa. What? $250 million for pineapple juice commercials in Benin. $246,000 to dry mangoes in the Ivory Coast. Oh, he's got more. $140,000 for the University of South Carolina to create DEI segregation in libraries with gay-only safe spaces. $500,000 for University of Tennessee students to spy on what gays do on library computers. $265,000 for Queens College to research why black teens love Japanese comic books. Oh, and it just keeps going. Oh, $85,000 for Nigerian masseuses. Here's Jesse Waters.
The chainsaw is still gassed up and running. $25 million in DEI grants just got doged. Here's some highlights. $140,000 for the University of South Carolina to create DEI segregation in libraries with gay-only safe spaces. $500,000 for University of Tennessee students to spy on what gays do on library computers.
Wow. Yeah, I just read that. Let's keep going. DEI on display. This looks like the Wheel of Fortune, Indiana.
Ow!
Wow.
Ow!
Yeah, 4 L's. Pick that up, turn it over. Lay it down right over that London trip down there. 650.
Y.
There's a Y. 500.
G.
1 G. 700.
What is it, guys? What is it? What is it? Comment below right now. What is it?
C.
Yeah, there are 2 C's. Well, Wow. Okay.
I solve.
Well, that'd be a good idea, yeah.
Mythological hero Achilles.
You can't accept that.
Okay.
Shelby.
I'll solve.
Yeah.
Mythological hero Achilles.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, boy. Well, when it comes to names, I think we have to just go with the name. And even though the letters are up there, because you have...
What? Are you kidding me? Oh, my.
Mythological hero Achilles.
Achilles. And they still didn't give it to him because he mispronounced it.
You can't accept that.
Okay.
Shelby.
I'll solve.
Yeah.
Mythological hero Achilles.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, boy.
Holy cow, man. That's so embarrassing. Here's one. DEI honors. Graduated from high school with honors but can't read or write? How does that even happen?
Puerto Rico, as a 19-year-old, began her freshman year at the University of Connecticut in Hartford this fall. She's excited to study public policy, the culmination of hard work after moving north from Puerto Rico as a child. Do you remember when you first came to Connecticut?
Yes, I remember I was very nervous, but I know it was going to be better opportunities for me to learn.
But Alicia says those opportunities never came to fruition. Even today, could you read this, or would it take you a long time?
It's impossible. I just see his words everywhere.
Alicia graduated from the Hartford Public School System last year, but she says today she is illiterate. She still doesn't know how to read or write. When she was in early education,
they would just either tell me to stay in a corner and sleep, or just draw pictures, flowers for them.
And when she was in high school, she relied on speech-to-text programs and other apps to read and write essays. So if you had an assignment where you had to write something, you'd open up a document like this and then do what?
I would go here to use the text-to-speech.
It says dictate.
Dictate, yep. I love pizza.
This is how you would do your assignments.
And then...
Cats of the World VA case.
I don't even know how to respond to that. When you graduated high school, you're 17, 18, 19 years old, and you are illiterate. And you graduated with honors. No. There's no student left behind. There's no kid left behind. It's nonsense. This is complete nonsense. If you can't even... She's not even eligible to work at a gas station. Graduated high school with honors.
19-year-old began her freshman year.
Using speech to write, optical character recognition to read her papers to her. Oh, man. Let's check out what Robbie Starbuck is doing. This guy is amazing in the work that he's doing to crush DEI in all the corporations across the United States. He's got some massive news 24 hours ago. In the U.S., Constellation Brands owns Corona, Modelo, and Pacifico beer. Last week, I did a story exposing their woke DEI policies. In response, they engaged with me and decided to make some big changes. I can now tell you what is changing. Let's listen.
I'm able to tell you we've got another company ending a bunch of their woke policies. Last week, we exposed Constellation Brands, the owner of Modelo, Pacifico, and Corona beer. Today, I am able to tell you that they are changing a bunch of the policies that we highlighted in that video after our engagement with them. So let me tell you exclusively some of those policy changes. Going forward, Constellation Brands, Corona beer, Pacifico, and Modelo will no longer have an association with the HRC or their woke, crazy CEI scoring system. If you're unfamiliar with this scoring system, it is the one that requires you, in order to get a 100 score, to pay for sex changes for not only your employees, but also their dependents. It is absolutely absurd. They will also no longer engage in lobbying for legislation that is not core to their business. An example of this is that they backed the Equality Act, a terrible name for a terrible bill. It really was a proxy and a way to get men who, quote, identify as women to be able to play in girls' sports and enter their single-sex spaces. Going forward, they will no longer use the term Latinx ever again. I can't believe that they ever did in the first place. It is an absurd term. No company should be using it, and I can't believe any company still is. They will also be doing away with the idea of diverse suppliers being given any sort of preferential treatment, and instead, supplier engagement will be focused on supporting all small businesses. They are also ending their DEI focus. DEI will not be a term there anymore. They will not be using it, and that is final. And last but not least, this point below states that employees will receive guidance about how to behave when they're representing the company on social media and in real life so that they do not inject their own personal politics and division into the brand. Now that wraps up their changes that they're making, but I want to give you guys some of my personal commentary on this because I feel like it's important to give you guys a little bit of context into how I feel about it. So as you guys know, I called out in my initial video the fact that they manufacture everything in Mexico, although they rely on the US consumer to keep their brands really going, right? So I think some of this stuff should get moved up here to the US and employ US workers. So that's not going to happen. I'm going to be real with you. They're going to continue to manufacture in Mexico. They did tell me they are going to spend money here in the US and continue investment in the US, but not in the manufacturing sector. Personally, I don't feel good about that. And it's their business. They can do what they want to do, but I do want to give full context as to how I feel about how this all is going. The other thing too is that the proof is in the actions we're going to see coming up. So we will keep our eye on this company because I can't say that I'm 1,000% convinced that the perfect things are going to happen. I wish I could say that I believe that the perfect things are going to happen in the coming months, but I don't know that. I can't say that. So we just have to watch and see. And as you guys know, a lot of what we do is predicated on whistleblower testimony. So we're going to be watching out for any whistleblowers who say that they are not holding up their end of the bargain here. Anytime a company backs off of woke policies, it's a good thing, right? But there's certain companies where I get the feeling that they're doing it because they need to, not because they want to. And just my gut feeling here, this is one of those cases where they felt like they needed to make these changes, not so much that they wanted to. If you love what we do, ending wokeness in corporate America, follow, share these videos, and support us by subscribing on X. We've got another company ending a bunch of...
Robbie Starbuck, man. He is a one-man wrecking crew for DEI. Here's Jasmine Crockett admitting that she's a DEI hire.
And I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. I say, because you've been gracious.
Did you hear that?
When I first became a public defender, I had no criminal defense experience. And I walked in and I told my boss, Charlie, I said, listen, you should hire me. He said, why? I said, because I'm black. Charlie looked at me like I was crazy. I say, because
hire me because I'm black? Wow. Here we have Pam Bondi. Trump administration revoking all non-essential funding from Maine Department of Corrections after they allowed a man in a woman's prison.
45 pounds. What we did last night, some breaking news. We pulled all non-essential funding from the Department of Corrections in Maine because they were allowing a man in a woman's prison. A giant 6'1", 245-pound guy who committed a double murder with a knife, stabbed his parents to death and the family dog, and he identified as a woman. So they were letting him be housed in a female prison. No longer. We will pull your funding. We will protect women in prison. We will protect women in sports. We will protect women throughout this country. No more of that.
Wow. Okay, that's the Department of Maine Corrections. Here's Nikki Neely. New York's public schools are openly defying a federal executive order to end discriminatory DEI policies, putting billions in federal funding at risk.
Administration. New York public schools are refusing to comply with the White House order to do away with DEI in the classroom, putting their federal funding in jeopardy. In a letter to the Education Department, an attorney for the New York Department of Education writes, "We understand that the current administration seeks to censor anything it deems diversity, equity, and inclusion, but there are no federal or state laws prohibiting the principles of DEI." Nikki Neely is the founder of Parents Defending Education, and she joins me now. So, Nikki, if I'm getting this right, the state of New York doesn't think an executive order is something that they have to follow. Seems like a pretty risky strategy with billions of federal dollars at stake.
Absolutely. I mean, this is not surprising, of course. We're seeing yet another blue district try and resist President Trump's orders. But remember, from day one, we have seen professional associations across the country urge their members, be they universities, be they school districts, to oppose and disobey the administration's guidance. And so it's no surprise that these progressive districts are trying to pretend that they're martyrs and also pretend that they are champions of democracy while sending a clear message to students that you just don't have to follow laws that you don't like.
Wow. Oh, yeah. Well, they're going to lose some funding. Here's more from her. Parents are paying thousands.
Because we get to thumb our nose at Harvard. Finally, as a Dartmouth guy, I love the story because we get to thumb our nose at Harvard, which we rarely get to do, but here we do. Harvard has become the first Ivy League university to teach freshmen a full year of remedial math. I said that accurately. Remedial math at Harvard. An op-ed slamming the class, writing administrators brought this mess on themselves by scrapping standardized testing requirements during the pandemic, all in the name of equity. Nikki, if I'm putting together a case against equity as a lawyer, this Harvard story is literally Exhibit 1A.
Yes. I mean, we were told by people like Ibram Kendi that standardized testing was racist. Funny enough, a study by Harvard economists actually showed that standardized testing was a great way for students from underprivileged districts to actually show that they were worthy of entrance. But let's run the numbers. Tuition and fees alone at Harvard are $54,000 a year. This is a full year course, and so this is a quarter of a student's course load for their freshman year. That breaks down to being about $13,000 just in tuition alone for something that students should have learned in high school. As a parent, if I had to pay for my kid to do that, I would be livid.
My classes in math were so tough that I decided I could not do math at the Ivy League level, so that's why I'm here with you this morning. And I think it's important that you have that weeding out process, because the people that do math at these schools oftentimes go on to become your doctors, your accountants. Make sure that they can do math. I think that's important for those future professions.
So Jesse Waters unleashing a chainsaw of facts, exposing $25 million in DEI grants flushed down the global toilet, $250 million for marketing organic shea butter in Africa, $250 million for pineapple juice ads in Benin. It's not diplomacy, it's global grift. And the corporate world is finally reading the room. As you saw, Constellation Brands, owner of Corona and Modelo and Pacifico, rolled back their DEI hiring mandates after public pressure. Even more shocking, congressional whistleblowers confirm that families of politicians profiting off government DEI spending. So here's my question for you. Is the collapse of the DEI industrial complex signaling a return to merit-based systems in America? Or will the establishment find new ways to push their agenda on your children? Let me know your thoughts below. And stand up for meritocracy with our Next News gear. You'll find a link below at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. All right. Where are we at? $61.99 and 2 new members tonight. Any more super chats? Craig gifted 1 membership to True World. You received it. Welcome, True World, to the family. And once you become a member, you have access to behind-the-scenes videos. You have access to the Next News team. You also have access to our exclusive Discord chat room that Brian has taken a lot of time to set up. And it's 24/7. People are hanging out there all the time, even while we're not live. And our Boyd dropping $5 because he wants to remind you, don't forget to share and like the stream and show the love. Thank you for that. Look at those numbers up there. 687 live viewers on YouTube and 2,100 on X, 81 on Rumble. What does that tell you? Tells you need to share the stream. Am I right? Okay, let's keep going. We got to get into our 6th topic on national security. Pete Hegseth making waves. Holy cow, this is going to be good. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, a double victory is unfolding before our eyes. First, the United States under President Trump just rewrote the rules on global dominance, kicking the Chinese Communist Party out of the Panama Canal. According to the Department of Defense, Trump declared the Panama Canal cannot and will not be controlled by China. Secretary Hegseth confirmed a joint declaration securing American warships' first and free passage through this critical waterway. But that's only half the story. While securing strategic sea lanes, the Coast Guard just delivered a knockout punch to the cartels, offloading a staggering, ready for this, 25 tons of cocaine valued at $509 million in Fort Lauderdale. That's 48,400 pounds of poison that won't reach American streets. This is a coordinated assault on America's enemies, both abroad and at home. And as Americans reclaim the Panama Canal and secures our borders, there's another crisis affecting every home in America: massive power waste. The average American household throws away $840 each year on phantom energy drain. The groundbreaking Don't Waste Power system identifies and eliminates these hidden power leaks, just as Trump is eliminating waste in the government. This military-grade technology uses the same principles that secure our naval vessels to secure your home's energy usage. While America takes back control of vital waterways, take back control of your energy bills by visiting don'twastepower.com and get an exclusive 30% discount. It's linked below. Okay, let's go to the Department of Defense. Secretary of Defense Hegseth. Trump has made it clear.
President Trump has made it clear that the Panama Canal and the canal areas cannot and will not be controlled by China. We are working closely with our partners in Panama to secure the canal and advance our mutual. President Trump has made it clear.
Oh, yeah, baby. The canal is returning. Here's more from the Secretary of Defense on the joint declaration.
That is why the United States and Panama have just signed a memorandum of understanding on cooperative security activities, and will be signing, just moments after this press conference, a joint declaration with the Minister of Canal Affairs on the security and operation of the Panama Canal, which is a framework for U.S. warship and auxiliary ships to sail first and free through the Panama Canal. That is...
Yeah, you see, remember when President Trump said we're taking back the Panama Canal? He was pissed that Carter sold it for $1. These are the first steps. You're witnessing it happen. This just happened 14 minutes ago. Washington State Sheriff Dale Wagner testifies before Congress about the state's sanctuary policies. He's being sued by Washington Attorney General Nick Brown for assisting ICE arrests in criminal illegal aliens.
Circumstances we're being faced with a lawsuit from the Attorney General of Washington State in my view,
They're suing you for trying to uphold the law. What a crazy world we live in. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but how awful that is.
That's okay.
No, because it pisses me off.
Yeah, I get it. It pisses me off. But the reality is that it's some of the circumstances that have been, it's very political. It's politically driven, and it's unfortunate that we're in that position.
What are the Democrats in your state doing to prevent you from doing your job? And do you expect more of this, or are you not allowed to enforce the law?
It's come down to I'm not allowed to or else. And that's really what we're faced with. We have an attorney general that is going by his marching orders, whatever you want to call it, and coming after our little agency to serve as a message to the rest of the state of Washington. And if you look behind me, that's why these sheriffs are here today. They all feel the heat. They feel the situation is bearing down on us. We're only 39 sheriffs in our state, and our state needs sheriffs. 2021, we had an incident of an illegal alien that took the life of a mother and a daughter, the daughter being a special needs female that had the capacity of a five-year-old, and they did it in a very horrific way by dismembering the bodies.
Oh my goodness, I can't even. Here we go. Here's more from Defense Secretary Kristi Noem speaking to ICE agents. We're doing things different now.
Be safe. He's thankful. Everybody that I talk to across this country and everybody in the White House and the President of the United States is extremely grateful for all. And the President wants you to be safe. He's thankful for what you do every day. He recognizes and knows how much you sacrifice your time with your family to work work you're doing and how dangerous it is. If you need any equipment, training, resources, you've got it. So just ask, be candid with me today. I'm here so that you can share with me what you need to do your job more successfully. And the faster we can pick up some of these individuals and enforce the laws in this country, the bigger message it sends to the rest of the world that we're doing things different here now, and the people who are here and are Americans and obey our laws are the ones that come first. So
Americans are coming first. Here's more from Pete Hegseth. He's got a message for the world.
Now, to be very clear, China did not build this canal. China does not operate this canal. And China will not weaponize this canal. Together with Panama in the lead, we will keep the canal secure and available for all nations through the deterrent power of the strongest, most effective, and most lethal fighting force in the world. We will do this in partnership with Panama. Together, we will take back the Panama Canal from China's influence. And we will do this along with other capable, like-minded allies and partners. This is what peace through strength looks like.
Let's go, baby. This from ABC3 WEAR 9 hours ago. AG Bondi, FBI's Patel announced offloading $509 million in illegal drugs at a Florida port. Here it is happening now. U.S. Coast Guard officials offloading 25 tons of narcotics. Look at this. That's a lot of cocaine. Wow. Let's keep going with that. $509 million. The Coast Guard tells us the drugs were seized through 14 cases. Kash Patel and Bondi will be discussing it. Here she is joining Kash Patel and military partners talking about it.
DOJ and all of the agencies involved will continue to dismantle this transnational criminal organization, lock these criminals up, and keep our country safe.
Let's keep going. Kristi Noem announcing the reestablishment of the Victims Immigrant Crime Engagement at the ICE headquarters. That's what just happened. About 8 hours ago, families of migrant crime victims stand behind her with portraits of their lost loved ones. Here's Representative Chuy Garcia, Illinois Democrat, dismissing the murders of Laken Riley, Rachel Morin, and other Americans killed by illegal immigrant gang members. Republicans lifting up tragedies that have involved immigrants committing a few crimes.
This is the exception. Civil liberties. Republicans are here to, surprise, scapegoat immigrants once again. The Republican playbook on immigration is dishonest and cruel. Republicans have lifted up some tragedies that involve immigrants committing a few crimes. This is the exception, not the rule. Civil liberties.
Wow, what a disgrace. Let's keep going. Here's Pam Bondi with more on that seizure.
This department supporting the fight against violent crime. These drugs are worth over $500 million. Almost 45,000 pounds of cocaine, pure cocaine, uncut, and 3,800 pounds of marijuana. Congratulations again to the Coast Guard. You have done incredible work, Admiral, and your team, Captain, in securing these drugs.
How about securing that Epstein list? Can we do that at least? Okay. I know. We all want it.
This team, with all the agencies I just mentioned, used drones, aircraft, and ships to interdict the traffickers off the coast of Peru, Ecuador, and the Galapagos Islands. What they did saved countless American lives. Countless lives. This cocaine would have been distributed throughout our country and perhaps throughout our world. 11 separate prosecutions will take place as a result of this, and they will be prosecuted in the Middle District of Florida. These defendants will be held accountable for bringing this poison into our country. I always say if we can save one life, we have done amazing work. And today we have saved thousands and thousands of lives as a result of this incredible cooperation. We believe 2 cartels, CJ&G and Sinaloa, were heavily tied to these shipments. This is a major blow to their financial operations and their efforts to distribute drugs throughout our country.
Wow. That is amazing. Let's keep going. I think we have some more from that press conference here. Oh, here's Kash Patel. Here's giving his remarks.
To safeguard American lives. General Bondi, we're here today because of your dedicated leadership to safeguard American lives. Because you have the courage to follow President Trump's courage to put our children first and to make sure that the narco traffickers, and make no mistake, this administration has labeled them foreign terrorist organizations because that's what they are. There is no lethal force on planet Earth that is responsible for an overdose death of an American citizen every 7 minutes. More so than these federal terrorist organizations, foreign terrorist organizations. We are humbled to be a part of this Department of Justice, and we are going to continue to safeguard our streets. This is what it looks like when the United States whole-of-government approach brings every resource to bear, from the Department of Defense and the United States Coast Guard, from HSI, from FBI, from DEA, and so many others. They are going to get all the drugs off the streets, off the markets, and as Attorney General Bondi said, we are going to lock them up. They are no longer going to be free to roam. We are going to dismantle the next man up theory that has been breeding in these Mexican cartels for generations. No more. We are here today because of your brave work. The men and women of the FBI that I lead, I'm humbled and honored to be here in South Florida, where I spent so much of my career before I moved to Washington, D.C. And looking around, I'm awe-inspired by the fact that when you take the rules and regulations that blockaded these brave men and women of law enforcement and military, and you unshackle them, then you should look at this seizure. And you should see how much it multiplies and see how many children and how many young adults and how many adults' lives that we have just saved. They did it. We're fortunate to be their leaders. We're humbled to be here. And you will see this happen across the country because this is not a one-off for General Bondi. She has made this a mission priority, and the FBI will follow in every corner of this country and every square centimeter of this planet to eradicate the foreign terrorist organization that are killing American citizens. They will be held accountable. We will take preventive measures, and we will scour the ends of the earth to find every single one of them. General.
Okay, now do the Epstein tapes. Okay, the two-pronged victory represents Trump's comprehensive national security strategy. Dominate internationally while crushing threats domestically. At the drug bust, Attorney General Pam Bondi declared this is a textbook example of the Justice Department supporting the fight against violent crime. What they did saved countless lives. FBI Director Kash Patel. This is what it looks like when a United States whole-of-government approach brings every resource to bear. Meanwhile, Kristi Noem reestablished the victims of immigrant crime engagement at ICE, standing with families holding portraits of loved ones lost to immigrant crime. Even as Democrat Representative Chuy Garcia dismissed these deaths as Republicans lifting up some tragedies. Yeah, some people did something. So here's my question to you. Is this twin approach of securing strategic waterways abroad while crushing cartels at home finally the comprehensive security strategy that America needs? Let us know your thoughts below. And show your support for the Next News Network by grabbing a hat and wearing it proudly. You'll find them at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com, linked below. All right. Here's a super chat for you. Villain. $5. Thanks, Gary. Don't forget to join us in the Discord live voice chat after the show. See you all there. Oh, I wish I could. But after doing a 3-hour show, I have more work to do. So while I'd love to hang out with everybody in the Discord live chat, it's not really something that I can spend time with right now. See, I'm spending my time with you right here in real time, engaging with the chat, reading your super chats, giving you my thoughts of the day, and breaking all the news that you won't see anywhere else. So as much as I'd love to, there will be a time, but I don't think it's going to be tonight. All right, let's keep going. More news for you today, this evening. The executive orders of the day. Beautiful moments in the Oval Office. And let's get right into it, shall we? Folks, President Trump just dropped the hammer on the establishment with a barrage of executive orders. They're sending shockwaves through every swamp corridor in Washington, D.C. My question is, does the man ever sleep? I'm starting to think the White House installed a Red Bull IV drip in the Oval Office, right? Now, in a bombshell rebuke of Obama-era overreach, Trump signed multiple executive orders, each one a direct hit on the tyrannical grip of globalist technocrats. First up, Miles Taylor. Trump suspended his security clearance and ordered an immediate investigation. Taylor, who pretended to be a resistance hero, who secretly colluded from the inside, is now under the federal microscope. But Trump was just warming up, like a man who drinks winning for breakfast, right? We're going to show you everything that happened in the Oval Office. And while President Trump works tirelessly, signing executive orders to crush the deep state, your cardiovascular system is working around the clock too. But it might need reinforcements. A shocking 2024 study reveals nearly half of all adults have high blood pressure, with only 1 in 4 having it under control. This triple action formula with white mulberry leaf and cinnamon bark powder regulates blood pressure, balances blood sugar, and optimizes cholesterol levels. Just as Trump is making American showers great again, Boost with Gary makes your circulation great again. Visit boostwithgary.com for 40% off. While this special offer lasts, you'll find it linked below. Okay, so we've got some interesting executive orders to dive into here. President Trump talking about the flexibility that we need.
Do it right, that's what. Well, a lot of times it's not a negotiation until it is. And that happens. And, you know, I said outside that you have to have flexibility to do it right, and that's what we have. We brought everybody to the table, and it may not be a negotiation. It may not last. I mean, you know, things may be asked that I think are not fair to us. Look, we've been ripped off by essentially everybody for 35 years. This is not just a new thing. And Roger Penske just left. He's a great gentleman, great man, actually. And he said no other president would have had the guts to do this. And I believe that's right. They wouldn't have done it. They should have done this a long time ago. A long time ago they should have done it. I started it with China. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs and taxes from China in my first term. And we had the greatest economy. We were up 88% on the stock market. That was the greatest ever in the history of our country. But it had to be done. Something that had to be done.
President Trump's getting it done. Here is another moment. 6 hours ago, this was posted by Real America's Voice. An EO requiring departments to scrutinize the regulations on the books.
for the day. This is zero-based regulatory budgeting. The idea here is that over time, regulations accumulate on the books and in the Federal Register, and people aren't taking a close, detailed look at what's on the books and clearing them out as times change or as regulations become dated or ineffective. What this executive order is going to require is each of your departments and agencies to scrutinize on a continuing rolling basis all of the regulations they actually have on the books and sunset those that either no longer serve a purpose or the departments and agencies can't identify a specific reason for keeping them active.
Okay.
That was the sound of President Trump cutting some more bureaucratic red tape in the swamp. Here we have more. The president suspending the security clearance for chronic liar and leaker Miles Taylor, USA, as posted by Rapid Response 47 just a few hours ago.
The Department of Homeland. The next presidential memorandum we have for you relates to Miles Taylor. You may recall that Miles Taylor served in the Department of Homeland Security during your previous administration. In his capacity with the Department of Homeland Security, he leaked classified information. He wrote a book under the pseudonym Anonymous, making outrageous claims both about your administration and about others in it. What this presidential memorandum is going to do, one, it's going to strip any active clearance that he has in light of his past activities involving classified information. It's also going to order the Department of Justice to investigate his activities to see what else might come up in that context, given his egregious behavior during your previous administration.
And I had no idea who this guy was. I had no idea. I saw him on CNN, or one of them, I guess CNN, a lot. He'd be on all the time saying the president is I had no idea. It's like, in this office you have a lot of young people and they're here. I'll see him for 2 minutes and I assume he was in the office, but I barely remember him. It was somebody that went out and wrote a book and said all sorts of terrible things that were all lies. It was this gentleman or that gentleman, like I dealt with him all the time. I had no idea who this guy. I said, who the hell is Miles Taylor? And he made a living on going on CNN talking about the president. And I think what of lies, bad things. And I think it's like a traitor. It's like spying. He walks into the office. He's supposed to be sitting here. A lot of people, I'll be here and there'll be 20 people standing in the room. There'll be oftentimes young people in the office. I assume he was one of them at least. But I didn't know anything about him. And he wrote a book, Anonymous, and I always thought it was terrible. And now we have a chance to find out whether or not it was terrible. But it was a work of fiction. Got a lot of publicity, got himself a nice job with CNN or one of them. And I think we have to do something about it. You can't have that happen. If that happens to other presidents, it wouldn't be sustainable for other presidents. I seem to be able to sustain, but if that happened to other presidents, it's just unfair. And if it was a Democrat president, I'd say that's a terrible thing. A thing like that can happen. That's a terrible thing. And it's time to find out whether or not somebody can do that. Can they write a book? And, because they happen to be one of a lot of people in a room, and they go out and write a book, and worse than that, call it anonymous, like it's a big deal. And everybody's saying, who is it? Then it was found out who he was a long time later, and got a lot of publicity off that one. It's like a promoter. But we're going to find out whether or not somebody's allowed to do that. I think it's a very important case, and I think he's guilty of treason, if you want to know the truth. But we'll find out. And I assume we're recommending this to the Department of Justice.
Yes, sir.
Oh, boy.
The next presidential...
Guilty of treason, President Trump says, being referred to to the Department of Justice. Wow. Here's more. President Trump signing an executive order targeting monopolistic businesses.
From entering into... This is another executive order relating to deregulation, sir. There are a lot of regulations on the books that either promote monopoly directly or prevent new market entrants from entering into a given market. The net effect of that is very negative for consumers. So what this executive order is going to do is direct your departments and agencies to work with the FTC, with the Attorney General, with the Department of Justice, to ensure that the regulations we have on the books don't function as anti-competitive barriers to new market entrants. The net effect of all of that is going to hopefully be market forces that redound to the benefit of consumers and ordinary Americans as opposed to monopolistic businesses.
I said yesterday he was a great, great student at Harvard before it went bad. It's gone really bad. Now they're teaching their students mathematics, basic mathematics. Can you believe it? So what does that mean? They're allowing people in that can't add 2 and 2? What's going on at Harvard?
I went to law school there, sir, and it was pretty liberal when I was there, but it's gone way off the deep end in recent years.
I don't know if you read that. They're teaching them basic mathematics, people that got accepted to Harvard. How come they got accepted if they don't have mathematics? And we're holding back $8 billion. Can we believe? We give Harvard $8 billion. And we're holding back Columbia. We're holding back a lot of the schools because they were woke. And they've hurt a lot of people. Okay? Thank you.
Oh, man. Keep going. Keep going, President Trump. Here's more, signing a presidential memorandum directing the heads of departments, federal departments, to follow the law. Do you really have to sign an executive order to tell these? Wow.
That are blatant. There are a large number of regulations on the books. These are regulations that are currently in effect that we believe blatantly violate the law, blatantly violate Supreme Court precedent, that otherwise are just blatantly illegal. So what this presidential memorandum does basically just directs the heads of your departments and agencies to follow the law and to cease enforcing regulations that are blatantly illegal or unconstitutional.
It's a big deal. It's really very important that we get these memorialized in Congress. Very important for the long haul, right?
Wow. Yes, sir. There are
unbelievable. Here's more. Oh, did you hear about this one? I thought this was a joke today. President Trump signing an executive order to end the Obama-Biden war on water pressure and making showers great again. What in the hell is happening?
And other. Next up, sir, we have a series of executive orders and a memorandum all relating to deregulation, which has obviously been a major priority of your administration. The first of these is an executive order. The Biden administration launched what you've called a war on showers. They had certain regulations that basically killed the water pressure of showers and other water appliances.
You can say it. Go ahead. What are the appliances?
I mean, it's everything, sir. Dishwashers, toilets, sinks. But the shower heads are a huge deal.
There's no water. You don't get water. It's ridiculous.
So with this executive order, we're effectively going to be reversing that set of regulations to ensure that Americans have choice in the consumer market. If they want a low-flow shower head, they can buy one. If they want a real-deal shower head, they should have the ability to get one.
You buy a new house, you pay a lot of money, and the developers, you're not allowed to do anything more. They put restrictors on. They used to have a restrictor where you could take it out, but now they weld it in. And you take a shower or wash your hands, whatever you do, including dishwashers where no water comes out. But you wash your hands, and in my case, I like to take a nice shower to take care of my beautiful hair. And I have to stand under the shower for 15 minutes till it gets wet. It comes out drip, drip, drip. It's ridiculous. And what you do is you end up washing your hands 5 times longer. So it's the same water. And we're going to open it up so that people can live, and we're going to hopefully have Congress approve it so it's memorialized. We're going to try and get all of these things, including straws, little thing like straws. We did straws a month ago where the paper straws were melting. They were dissolving. They weren't working well. And we went back to the plastic straws. we're going to get Congress to memorialize just about everything we've done here, because most of it's common sense. But the water is horrible. When you go into anytime you see a new faucet, you know it's going to be a long wash of the hands. And so we're changing it. It's a big deal. I did it in the first administration. Biden came in his first week, and he had no idea what he was doing, but somebody told him to do it. In his first week, he put the restrictions on all the bathroom utilities. Even in areas that have so much water, they don't know what to do with it. You see those areas all the time with the flooding. So we're doing that, and we're going to get all of the things that you've seen. I think we set a record. We're up to almost 200 and 500 amendments. Nobody's ever done that many. We're going to get them approved by Congress, so they're memorialized. And we look forward to doing that. It's very important. And Congress is going to start working on it as soon as we get the big, beautiful deal done. The big, beautiful deal is important. The biggest tax cuts in the history of our country, that's important. Okay. Okay, is that okay? Good. Just a 10.
Take a good shower.
We rate the signatures. That was a 10.
Oh, man. What the hell? Making showers great again, right? Oh, boy. Okay. Here's another one. Trump signing the commission for Mike Huckabee.
That's his. So the Senate confirmed Governor Huckabee to be your next ambassador to Israel earlier today. That's his commission as ambassador. And then we also have a transmittal letter to the president of Israel requesting that he accept Ambassador Huckabee's credentials.
He's going to be fantastic. He's going to bring home the bacon. Even though bacon isn't too big in Israel.
I was just going to say that.
Clear that up.
I was just going to say that.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations to Mike
Huckabee. Sir,
Oh, man. What else have we got? Oh, here's the maritime dominance.
Merchant Marine. As you've consistently identified, restoring our maritime dominance as a nation is very important. From shipbuilding to having a merchant marine that's capable of supporting American military efforts, really up and down the line, restoring maritime dominance has been a priority of this administration. This executive order, which was prepared primarily by your National Security Council staff and National Security Advisor Walt, has a number of very significant policy steps, all aimed at restoring American maritime dominance and ensuring that we have the shipbuilding capacity and ability to compete globally, both militarily and in the civilian space as well.
And that could be a good one for Michigan, too, because we're going to be spending a lot of money on shipbuilding. We're way, way, way behind. We used to build a ship a day, and now we don't do a ship a year practically, and we have the capacity to do it. So we'll talk to you about that. Okay, Matt? Think about that. That's a natural. Okay, shipbuilding. That's a good one.
Okay, I think we got one more here. Governor Whitmer? What?
Good job. We're honored to have Gretchen Whitmer from Michigan, great state of Michigan, and she's really done an excellent job. And a very good person. And we're working on the Selfridge, as you know, the air base. We're trying to get the air base open, keep it open. I think, Gretchen, if you're there, and Matt Hall, the Speaker of the House of Michigan. And he's been fantastic as the Speaker. I appreciate it. We won the state, Matt, and you helped me a lot.
I did, and you made me Speaker, so thank you, Mr. President.
Oh, I did. That's good, too. And Gretchen, I think everybody knows. So we're working on that very hard, and I think we'll come home with a winner for Michigan, okay? I just spoke with the Secretary of Defense. Sometimes we call him the Secretary of War. It used to be called the Secretary of War. They changed it. when we became a little bit politically correct. But I think we're in great shape. We're going to be in great shape. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much, Matt. Congratulations.
Wow. Keep your enemies close, I guess, right? So Trump didn't stop there. Seriously, the man is busier than a Secret Service agent at a Trump rally. He turned the flamethrower on monopolistic collusion, signed a presidential memorandum directing federal agencies to cease enforcing illegal regulations, and in what can only be described as peak Trump, took a stand against the Obama-Biden water pressure tyranny. That's right, the war on water is over. Trump signed an order to make America's showers great again, rolling back ridiculous restrictions that left Americans frustrated and soapy. He also commissioned Mike Huckabee as ambassador to Israel, signed an order to reignite American shipbuilding dominance, and announced a new defense cooperation with Michigan. So tell me this. Is Trump's aggressive use of executive power the most effective way to drain the swamp? Or should Congress be doing more to help him restore American freedom? Sound off below. Wash away the deep state with our next news gear at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. All right. Okay. Let's jump into the big chat and see what's happening in the world. Seeing what you guys are talking about. We got some more late breaking news and see what's going on. Texas Democrats want to lower speed limits to 20 because toddlers play on what? Hang on, where's that? Sorry. And it should be there now. There it is. Democrats want to lower the speed limit to 20 because toddlers play on residential streets. Okay. Newsmax, more than 2/3 of Democrats signed a letter accusing EPA Administrator Zeldin of actively hamstringing America's homegrown clean energy industry. Wah, wah. Jamie Dimon, 3 hours ago. You've got to look at Elon Musk, SpaceX, Tesla, Neuralink. The guys are Einstein. I'd like to be helpful to him and his companies as much as we can. Oh, what's this?
Your next ambassador to Israel earlier today. Oh, yeah. That's his commission as ambassador.
Bring home the bacon, right? Okay. I want to hang out with you guys as much as I can, but I've got a lot going on tonight. And we do have to close out this show. And it's been an explosive one, though. Day 80, President Trump's return to the White House. The man's already rewriting American history at a pace that has the establishment in panic mode. We covered a stunning array of developments that the mainstream media is desperately trying to hide from you. First, we saw how Trump is torching the globalist playbook, elevating Main Street while making the cartels and swamp creatures shudder. Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, declared it's Main Street's turn, signaling a seismic shift in economic priorities that has Wall Street elites clutching their pearls. Then we witnessed Trump's economic counterstrike through tariffs that are rebuilding America from the ground up. After decades of betrayal under NAFTA, Trump is bringing factories home, making pharmaceutical companies pay their fair share, and forcing 40% of the world's nations to crawl to the negotiating table. As Senator Kennedy said, let's pounce on these deals like a ninja. We showed you how Trump dropped a 125% tariff bomb on China, triggering a worldwide economic shockwave as Beijing scrambles to respond. The days of subsidizing the CCP's rise are over, and the new Republican Party stands firmly with American workers instead of global corporations. On the domestic front, we expose the shocking federal bloat that Trump is cutting like a surgeon with a flamethrower, axing 700 leases, saving billions in taxpayer dollars, and going after those $230,000 picnic tables that bureaucrats somehow thought were reasonable while you struggle to afford groceries. We revealed how the DEI empire is finally crumbling as parents rise up, whistleblowers come forward, and even major corporations like Constellation roll back their woke policies under public pressure. Then we celebrated America's twin victory of reclaiming the Panama Canal from Chinese influence while simultaneously crushing the cartels with a historic $509 million drug bust. This is what real border security looks like. And finally, we witnessed Trump's executive storm, crushing the deep state from suspending Miles Taylor's security clearance to making American showers great again. Now, Patriots, this kind of coverage simply doesn't exist on the corporate media networks. That's why we need your support to keep the Raw feed on the air. If you value the unfiltered truth, please consider donating through the links in the description. Every dollar helps us fight against censorship and bring you the truth that matters. I want to thank all the viewers who sent in Super Chats and Rumble Rants tonight. We hit $78.99. And I think another one just came in, as a matter of fact. Let me just check here. Fulios. $2. Thank you, Fulios. And Craig, dropping $5. I absolutely love these Oval Office moments. Trump is just himself and funny. Thanks, Gary, for all you do. Thank you, Craig, for your support. Sincerely. Remember, it's your engagement that makes this show what it is. A true voice of the American people. And don't forget to visit the merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. What are you waiting for? Did you get your hat? Did you get your shirt? Did you get your Next News swag? Remember, show the world where you stand with pride. This is Gary Franchi for the Raw Feed. We'll see you next time as we continue to expose the truth they don't want you to hear. God bless America, and God bless President Trump.